Chapter 26. I thought that the residence would be a closed space, and someone was staring at any time. A request must be made through a request, and freedom of movement is restricted. Unexpectedly, it was unexpectedly relaxed, although the boss was a little weird, but the people were very nice. Lilith was satisfied. She was nervous at first, but after the day, her tightness was completely relaxed. Sitting on the head of the bed and stroking the brand new quilt, if the girl's mood is changed to a numerical value, the expression must be +1, +1, +1. Before the happy mood was completely liberated, I heard the boss calling himself downstairs. I don't know what Lilith likes to eat. Wang Li ordered almost everything, including the daily bread and fried chicken that foreigners think. When Lilith came down, more than 10 dishes were already arranged in a row. I don't know what you like to eat, so I just ordered some. Lilith blinked. I can do it, and there are too many of these. Lilith herself has only recently awakened to her special physique and special needs, and only a small amount of human food is enough. She has some distressed wasted food, so much of it will definitely not be finished. It is a pity to throw it away, and she doesn't know if it can be stored. Obviously Wang Li couldn't know this, and there was more than half of the meal left. Only once, the cleaning will be handed over to you. Take a rest early after packing up, and get up to work tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Good. While the boss closed the shop and went upstairs in advance, Lilith, who nibbled at the bread, stayed silently to clean up the mess. The night is getting thicker. At a certain moment, a nameless mist slowly appeared in the house. The mist was so thin that it could not be found, that could not affect the vision, but it represented another sign. After cleaning up and throwing away the trash, Lilith covered her mouth and yawned a little. Her work schedule is quite regular, and she must go to bed before 10 o'clock. As soon as he walked to the corner of the stairs, Joel found that in the coffee shop bookshelf area, tentacles with countless eyeballs slowly crawled out of the gaps in the books, carrying evil black mud. In less than a minute, the clean and tidy interior became a place where demons danced wildly. The incomprehensible babble rushed toward Lilith like a demon who lured people into the abyss. The girl was a little scared, even though these weird things didn't care about her at all, whispering to each other. Quickly turn off the light and go up the stairs, and the moment he stepped on the second floor, the chaos and madness surrounding him disappeared instantly. With a small sigh, Lilith walked on tiptoe through Wang Li's door and came to her room. She didn't completely relax until she closed the door. Taking off the nun's clothes and changing the underwear, after being bound by the clothes for a day, feeling the comfort of liberation at last, a smile appeared on the face of the delicate girl. At the same time, changes gradually appeared in her. A pair of antlers grew from both sides of Lilith's head, and the smooth and tender legs below turned into hoofed animal limbs. A fluffy and beautiful blonde hair spread out, concealing slightly tapered ears and a body that was so perfect that there were no defects. Coming to the front of the mirror, Lilith looked at herself in the mirror. Her magnificent blue eyes kept shining with stars. On the whole, the girl did not become terrible due to beastization, but added a strange charm, a wildness that was completely opposite to the normal state before. It's a pity that no one has seen this scene. Touching the antlers on her head, Lilith's cute bulging mouth. I still remember that half a month ago, she was frightened when the first change occurred. However, the memory passed down in her mind later told her why this happened. To explore the roots of her mother's blood, the phenomenon of return to ancestors would occur 2 or 3 hours a day. Later, when she was discovered by the Foundation, she was naturally contained, so that a series of accidents occurred. Because of the particularity of her blood heritage, Lilith will always be uncomfortable in dressing. For a certain period of time, she needs to release her fetters and return to the initial state of mankind. Like a newborn baby, she usually puts this time in the sleep stage. In addition, within 15 meters of her surroundings, man-made objects will gradually return to their raw state. More complex items, such as electronic products or vehicles, will be affected more quickly, because the degradation of metal components can cause devastating structural failure within a few hours. The decay rate of objects made of basic materials, such as stone buildings or organic materials, is almost imperceptible. However, Lilith found that in this building, her own abilities were ineffective, as if she was shielded. Oh no, it is more accurate to describe it with compression. In the afternoon, she tried half of her foot out of the store, and then the plants near her street sprouted and grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. The light at the door of another store gradually began to flicker, and she was so scared that she immediately retracted her foot, and the change immediately stopped. After thinking for a long time and couldn't figure out the reason, Lilith quickly let it go, which is a good thing in short. Perhaps it is precisely because of the magic here that the Foundation will send it here. The girl who thought she had found the answer turned off the light and lay on the bed, with only a head exposed under the quilt. Fortunately, the bed is big enough, she is short, otherwise the antlers will hit the head of the bed. After adjusting her sleeping position, Lilith held the quilt to cover her chin like a cat, and looked sideways at the starry sky outside the window. Her eyes, which were not inferior to the bright starry sky, contained curiosity, longing, and a bit of uncertainty about the unknown life in the future. Then, holding inexplicable expectations, she slowly closed her eyes. After a long time, the girl who was supposed to be asleep suddenly opened her eyes, which was different from before. At this moment, a strange look appeared in her eyes, and her face was stained with a faint blush. Slowly, his breathing became heavy. Ha ha! Gently exhaling a slightly scorching breath, the sudden hunger and thirst in her heart swept through Lilith's body like a storm. The girl snorted, trying to restrain the negative influence brought by the special bloodline. Yes, in fact, apart from affecting the outside world, she herself has another special situation. That is, a certain amount of life essence must be swallowed within a certain period of time. Due to the bloodline and special physique just awakened, Lilith didn't even notice this in the memory inheritance. Unexpectedly, with the subtle transformation, the first symptoms appeared in the present half a month later. P.S. It should be better for me to set it this way, otherwise the original version of SCP-166 is too original and too astringent, so that it was deleted and replaced with a new version, changing from a succubus girl to a girl Gaia. Seeking flowers. Ask for evaluation votes. Begging. ** Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 27. The body wrapped under the quilt trembled slightly, and Lilith bit her lip, trying to overcome the negative state. The waves lasted for an unknown period of time, and the feeling of longing for the seed of life gradually faded. At this moment, Lilith was exhausted, her brain was in a mess, she fell asleep in a daze, and the antlers on her head and her hoof-shaped calves slowly returned to normal. In a daze, she opened her eyes again until a whitish white appeared in the sky. Sitting on her back, Lilith was confused for a while. After a night of torture, it seemed that he was not very energetic. It wasn't until the brain returned to normal thinking that she remembered that today was the first day of work, and quickly got up to put on clothes. Although eager, the action didn't seem too flustered. All sorted out and looked at the time, it was less than 7:40. Don't worry, Lilith doesn't want to be late for work the first day. Going down the stairs, the cafe has recovered from the state where the demons danced last night, and the place where the black mud has flowed is also unusually clean. Wake up, just right. I forgot to give it to you last night. Go and change your work clothes now. Wang Li, who was waking up early, was watching the news and saw that she appeared from the stairs, walked to the bar and handed her a set of clothes wrapped in a bag. When putting it in her arms, Wang Li accidentally touched the other's hand with the back of his hand. Hey, why is your body temperature so high? He was surprised when he felt the fleeting warmth. Is it sick? Even if the body temperature of women is generally higher than that of men, it is not close to the degree of hotness. If you look closely, you can see that the girl's face is covered with a faint blush, and she can't see it if she doesn't get close. Lilith stepped back in a panic, avoiding the back of his hand that was leaning toward her forehead, and lied in a hurry. Maybe it's because the water was too hot when she just got up to wash. Really? The girl nodded against her heart, and said silently in her heart. Oh God! Please forgive me. What if you don't lie? I can't tell you what is special about your physique. It can be said by the education and values she has received, and how shameful things she has to say. It makes people want to die more than social death. Lilith, who believes in chastity, can't do it, she would rather endure pain. The dubious Wang Li had to believe her statement, but he didn't worry about adding, if you feel uncomfortable, you must tell me. To escape the danger, Lilith hurriedly returned to the second-floor room holding her overalls. She thought that she could endure the past night for a while, but she was starting to have it again now, although it was not as strong, it was also forcing people to desire death. Biting her lower lip, Lilith didn't look at her misty and moist eyes in the mirror, and forcefully tore open the work clothes bag. Later, when the so-called overalls were placed on the bed, she looked dazed. Where is work clothes? Obviously it's a maid costume. A total of 2 sets of black and white long and short costumes are listed on both sides of the bed. One set is traditional, similar to the European style of the Middle Ages, with functionality as the main appeal. The style is very simple, mainly in white aprons decorated with lotus leaf, plus white collar plain and ankle one-piece dress. This set basically has no decoration except for the lotus leaf on the apron, the bow knot caused by the apron tie tied at the back, and the neckline will be tied with a ribbon with a bow. The other set is an improved type, not focusing on functionality, but focusing on aesthetics. The apron part is still mainly white with ruffles, while the one-piece skirt is changed from a long skirt to a short skirt that can only cover the thighs, just like the maid characters in the anime, with a lot of ruffles all over. Lace edges and large bows are used as decorations, and the colors are brighter. To say that the two are the same, that is, there are pantyhose and garter stockings for the maid outfit, which are intactly placed in another small bag. After hesitating for a while, Lilith finally picked up the traditional set. Downstairs, while waiting for Lilith to change clothes, Wang Li watched the morning news at ease. The reason for choosing maid outfits as work clothes is not that the heart of LSP is burning, but the main reason is to enhance the style and add more elements to the cafe. If this is not the case, he can confidently label his store on the internet as a maid cafe. In this way, consumers will not say false frauds when they come, even if there are no customers coming. But just in case. People always have dreams, otherwise, what is the difference with salted fish? To find a reason for his behavior in his heart, Wang Li nodded secretly. Lilith is indeed beautiful, but he won't cause him to have a crooked mind, otherwise, before she came, she would have dealt with the second sick girl. At this moment, a piece of news appeared on TV that attracted him, and the host picked up a new manuscript and said with a serious face. "This is Magic City News, now we will issue an urgent notice. Special reminder to the general public that a new type of fraud has recently appeared in the Magic City, using people's sympathy for children to carry out a series of complex frauds. Please do not approach the children who are crying on the side of the road with their backs to them. And call the police immediately. For the sake of your own property safety, please be sure to report to the police. In order to prevent more people from being deceived, please inform the elderly and children around them." Watching the news, Wang Li couldn't help feeling that the forest is big and there are all kinds of birds. In the past, there were organizations specializing in maiming children and throwing them into the streets to beg. Who knows that there is such a thing now? Shouldn't it be the same group of people who slipped through the net? He was feeling the sinister heart, and footsteps came from the stairs. "Boss, do you think I can do this?" Wang Li turned his head and looked around, the next moment an amazing color appeared on his face. "P.S. Ask for flowers. Ask for evaluation votes. Begging. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running." Chapter 28. A blonde girl dressed in a traditional maid costume stood in the middle of the stairs, holding skirt corners in both hands. The crimson of her cheeks seemed a little deeper, a cute look that wasn't quite comfortable. Because of the corners of the skirt, the low-heeled shoes and the curving legs of black stockings wrapped in the skirt are exposed. Seeing Lilith moving down step by step, Wang Li immediately recovered and praised from the bottom of his heart, "Yes, it's perfect, it suits you very well. The maid costume is worthy of origin in Europe, this blonde aristocratic lady wears it, the taste is simply too right." Although it is mainly based on functionality and not aesthetics, Lilith is still attractive when worn. Even the black and white maid outfits did not reveal any skin except below the wrists and above the neck. Lilith wanted to say something, but her current status was an employee, and she was not qualified to put forward conditions at all. What's more, although the clothes are a little strange, they actually look good overall. From the perspective of perception alone, she is still satisfied in her heart. At the same time, yesterday's work experience told her that the boss said that there were not many customers. It was not a lie, and there was not a single customer all day long. Even if she had never worked in her life for more than 10 years, she knew that she couldn't make money like this. Therefore, the coffee shop is only a shell used to deceive outsiders, but it is actually a place to contain many anomalies. Impressed by the boss a lot, Lilith was relieved at once. If only the boss saw this dress, it would be okay. Thinking about this, the girl relaxed and struggled, trying to accept the slight discomfort caused by this dress. Then she found, inexplicably relaxed. Don't look at the maid's appearance that seems heavy and bloated, but it is not the case, otherwise it is mainly functional. Regardless of how various actions are made, they are unexpectedly smooth, and they will not delay cleaning. This is Lilith's own thoughts. The street outside the coffee shop. Sitting in a shop eating breakfast, Luo Qingqing is located directly opposite the coffee shop. She squatted here for 2 or 3 days, and in accordance with the tasks explained above, she had been struggling with how to get in touch with the mysterious boss in the store. As the saying goes, the ignorant is fearless. But when I didn't know the horror of the real reality, I couldn't do it right away. But this is the task posted above, no one can replace it. So after drinking the last sip of soy milk, Luo Qingqing mustered up the courage and slowly walked towards the magic cave in her heart. When she walked to the door, she looked inside carefully, only to see the boss who had met last time sitting near the bar not knowing what she was doing. Holding back resistance, she lingered for a long time, and finally pushed in slowly with the mentality of die or die. Ever since, after reading the news, Wang Li suddenly found a sneaky figure walking around in front of the store, sneaking in like a thief. He wondered, what is this doing? But with the freshness that a new customer finally came home, Wang Li walked up to her and asked. Hello, what do I need? Luo Qingqing was taken aback suddenly. She had been looking around, especially the bookshelf, always worried that weird things would pop out. Fortunately, worry did not become a reality until the boss stood in front of him. Well, what am I here for? Seeing this mysterious boss, the girl's brain went blank for a moment, and she couldn't understand what she was talking about incoherently. Isn't he a fool? Wang Li looked at the guest with neurotic eyes, but this person seemed familiar. Did we meet somewhere? Hey? Maybe. Ignoring the girl's stammering look, after a little thought, Wang Li suddenly remembered, isn't this the girl who came to the store the night before the accident in the city village? At that time, I almost got scared to cry by a few big dogs. Thinking like this, he blurted out, so it's you. Fortunately to be remembered by the boss, Luo Qingqing could hardly describe her mood at the moment, should she be happy or panic. Yo, you have fulfilled the agreement to take care of my business. Since he is an acquaintance, Wang Li is free. Yes, yes. The girl subconsciously followed. The lines that he had originally thought flew out of the sky, and he had known that he would follow the captain to perform other tasks, which seemed a bit simpler. Don't look at the way the other person talks very well, it's just superficial skills. Once you make a mistake, the consequences are hard to imagine. The book says so. Luo Qingqing. You have to rack your brains and deal with each other. From the bottom of my heart, cheer up for myself, the matter is over, I can't turn around and leave and say that you have admitted the wrong person. Maybe Wang Li's attitude was too casual, and Luo Qingqing gradually returned to her normal mentality. That's right, why did the boss be like a little shrimp with her? Based on years of experience in reading novels, TV dramas, and movies, it is generally similar to scenes like this, and I am the least prone to accidents. Working hard to give psychological hints, Luo Qingqing finally managed to get rid of the pictures of her own miserable end produced out of thin air. Ma, thank you for a cup of coffee covered with milk. She tried to chat according to the normal routine. Oh, right now. Unlike when we first met, this child has become a lot stranger. Wang Li is depressed because the people around him are more or less obsessed with inexplicable behavior. It is said that people gather together by similarities and divide things by groups. It is obvious that he is so normal, and he always feels that something is wrong. While he was in the middle of grinding coffee at the bar, Luo Qingqing, who was at a loss, forced a topic and said, by the way, I don't know what your name is, the boss. Wang Li. Oh. The conversation was over, the air was suddenly embarrassed. Luo Qingqing opened her mouth and couldn't even think of a topic to talk about. Fortunately, there has been no communication for a long time. Wang Li, who grinds coffee beans, seems to be a little cheerful, and asks, this place is quite remote. It's hard for you to come here a second time. I didn't want it either, the girl was wronged in her heart, but she said it's okay. Maybe this is a woman, face to face and secretly. Wang Li has never learned mind reading, and naturally cannot know what she is thinking. The guest was boring, and there was a sentence without a word to chat with him afterwards. Until the beans were almost ground, he suddenly remembered, speaking of which, how was the statue I gave you last time? P.S. The last chapter is still pending review. I vomited and there was no violation. I don't know what the review is doing. People are stupid. Seeking flowers. Ask for evaluation votes. Begging. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 29. As soon as this remark came out, Luo Qingqing gave a chuckle in her heart. Statue. That's it. Whether her first thought was exposed, she knew she shouldn't come, woo woo woo. I'm still thinking about how to answer it. The coffee shop owner asked how his words came from, just like a primary school Hyuxia exam, asking a certain poetry about the author's mental state when he wrote the poem. Luo Qingqing is just like a primary school student, thinking about whether there is deep meaning. In other words, did the other party know that she had used the statue, and that the thing was broken? At this moment, it is estimated that she was lying on the laboratory bench of the research institute. Without hearing the answer for a long time, Wang Li raised his head. What's the matter? It's okay, I'll leave it at home. Well, remember to store it a little bit more carefully. That thing is considered an experiment. I made it with the worst wood. It's easy to break. It's broken. Luo Qingqing slandered. I really can't figure out the purpose of the other party's gift of such mysterious things. If I don't figure out, the girl will stay awake at night. Anyway, people are here, so I have the courage to explore it. Presumably the owner will not be angry. Measured back and forth, while Wang Li was making coffee powder, she swallowed and said, Can I ask, why did you give me that handmade statue in the first place? What's the reason? But it's rare to meet customers with the same aesthetic sense, and I will give it to you out of Amway's consideration. That is it. Otherwise. Wang Li raised his eyebrows slightly. Phew, put the lifted heart back into his stomach. Luo Qingqing felt the spring blossoms. What? It's so simple, a ghost. In just 2 or 3 seconds, her mood was like a roller coaster ride. Luo Qingqing was stupid when she saw the blonde girl dressed in a maid costume and beautiful enough to make her envy and hateful, and she lifted the pearl-stringed curtain from the backstage. No, why is SCP-166 here? Basic information about SCP-166 is not classified as confidential. E-class personnel can inquire in Foundation files, including capabilities, photos, personality, etc. All members who have joined the Foundation will basically inquire about the contained objects that are sealed in the file to prevent contact with the outside world. Although SCP-166 is a containment object and has a chain reaction that affects the population, there is no cognitive impairment for women. At most, she is considered to be particularly beautiful, unlike the beauty that humans can have. But the point is not here. The point is that this containment object that was looted by the Serpent's Hand organization during the transfer process has been taken away by the evil god summoned by that person. How could it appear in this store? Incredible. The overwhelming amount of information hit Luo Qingqing's brain down, and her heart felt like falling into an ice cave. Since SCP-166 appeared here, it means that the owner of the cafe must have some connection with the evil god, and he might be involved in the underground palace. Now when I recall what happened back then, there are always some details that are not right. Why did the people organized by the Serpent's Hand carry out the summoning of the gods unexpectedly turned into a pool of flesh and blood? I can't let the other party know that he is desperate and commit suicide. It's not like him. I didn't think too much about it at the time, but if something went wrong in the process of summoning the gods by the cultists, then everything would be connected. Sitting in the cafe on a hot day, Luo Qingqing suddenly felt icy and trembling all over, as if she could feel the invisible and malicious gaze cast from all directions. She thought she had hallucinations that day. It was so naive. I really hope that time goes back, and she, who was chased by ghouls, might have, or would enter the store, otherwise she won't live now. Lilith, come and help me add some water. After crushing the powder into fine pieces, Wang Li called a new employee to join hands. How much impact this behavior had on the poor spy girl. In less than half a minute, he has upgraded from a mysterious existence to a mysterious boss who can get sacrifices from the evil gods. Oh, is this enough? Lilith asked carefully, adding mountain spring water specially transported from the mountain to the kettle. Enough. Hearing the words put down the kettle, Lilith turned around, only to find that there was a guest, and let out a small exclamation, and then she saw that it was a female guest. Fortunately, the female was not affected, and the pure maid secretly thanked herself, and suddenly met the staring eyes of the other party, her expression dull. Could it be that her physique evolving into a female would also be affected? As soon as she thought of this, she dared not stay here anymore. Lilith hurriedly returned to the background. Until SCP-166 lost her back, Luo Qingqing still did not return to her senses, muttering to herself in an inaudible voice, I have taken on a heavy responsibility that I should not bear at my age. She is vomiting, can she apply for resignation? Suddenly I didn't want to do it. It's not over yet, when the wind chime at the door suddenly rang. Hello, this is the Cardis shop. Wang Li, who makes coffee, looked up and said, oh, it's you. Those who come are acquaintances. At the door, a guest in yellow clothes and a weird mask with no gender nodded at him, and then sat in the corner that was almost reserved for him. Wang Li didn't care either. This person had never taken off his mask, and he could not tell whether he was a man or a woman. He could only judge that he was not a woman based on his barren body. I don't know if it is an illusion, Luo Qingqing always feels that the person under the mask has his eyes circled around him. It feels the same as the invisible sight on the bookshelf, oh no. More terrifying than that. Please let me go, I'm just a child. Luo Qingqing wailed crazily in her heart, subconsciously clamped her legs, and if she continued like this, she would be scared to pee sooner or later. I'll take a pair of 3 fights against the landlord, how do you start the king bomb? Arching her body, the girl couldn't wait to shrink into a ball. There was no way, that malicious gaze was too terrifying. Luo Qingqing had no doubt that if she changed the venue without the store manager in the middle to block the line of sight, she would have to die on the spot. I wanted to leave, but my body froze, unable to move with my heart, and even my lips were out of control. The girl is anxious, body, you are moving fast. P.S. Ask for flowers. Ask for evaluation votes. Begging. Asterisk thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 30. But let alone her body being unable to move, Luo Qingqing soon realized that even her thinking had gradually become rigid and she was deeply in fear. In her sight, the scrawny body of the yellow weird man in the corner was hidden under the layers of ragged yellow robe. He looked thin and clumsy, but he was extremely flexible in every move, with an extraordinary elegance. It's really over. She didn't scare herself when she entered the store. The world is spinning, flickering, and wriggling. In a daze, Luo Qingqing saw a yellow mark. Under its influence, time and space seemed to be blocked and stagnated. The thinking is turning more and more slowly, the reason is beginning to collapse, and it is about to sink into eternal silence. But all this fell apart under a sound. Your coffee is ready. Wang Li knocked on the countertop in front of the girl, pushing the piping hot coffee over. Luo Qingqing immediately turned her gaze to the store manager's side uncontrollably, and met the pair of unusually dark eyes. In the next moment, she seemed to see a huge shadow that was constantly jumping, a kind of horrible pulse that seemed to be heard, and the slender and terrible sound of a flute played from an invisible flute. Surrounded by everything, it stays asleep in the black throne in the center of the chaos, ruling all time and space. Luo Qingqing felt that she was being dragged by intangible things through the indescribable eternal years and the unimaginable dimensional space. Come to the ancient world that can only be guessed in the most vague way, those ancient worlds that come from the outside world who are rampant freely. The abyss of the original life, the streams that flowed out of the abyss. And she gradually turned into one of the most inconspicuous streams among these streams, and the long river of destiny that flows far away, converging together. No, I have become the shape of a store manager. Then she woke up. Ha! 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 Panting, the girl's horrified eyes swept across the yellow-clothed man. When the other party noticed something, he quickly retracted it. If you are bullied, you can only suffer, poor, weak and helpless. What's wrong with you? Wang Li felt inexplicable. This person was afraid that he was not sick, with cold sweat on his forehead, trembling all over, and gasping for breath. She won't jump over and bite herself, will she? A little worried about whether to call 120, Wang Li is going to pick up the phone to see the follow-up. I'm fine, but sometimes I have sudden heart palpitations. Just take the medicine. In order to lie, Luo Qingqing took out a bottle of calcium tablets with a torn pattern from the bag and threw it into his mouth. Fortunately, in order to grow taller, she carried a calcium tablet with her and took one if she had nothing to do, otherwise it would be really hard to fool around. Seeing that Luo Qingqing quickly returned to normal after taking the medicine, Wang Li was stunned and couldn't help but said with pity, how can you get this disease at a young age? Blame the man in yellow behind you. The aggrieved girl lowered her head, never dared to look blindly anymore, stared straight at the coffee, made up her mind to leave after drinking, hoping that there would be no more moths. Then the sky does not do what people want. With a jingle, the store door rang again with wind chimes colliding. "Sir, how about the waiter I introduced?" Luo Qingqing turned around again uncontrollably and looked around in the sweet and gentle female voice. I saw the slim Cheongsam girl, who seemed to be holding Piba half hidden, walking towards her, full of aggressive and shocking charm. More beautiful than SCP-166. At this moment, Luo Qingqing was numb. According to the information handed down by the Foundation, the charm value exceeded the limit of human beings, and 99% of them were inhuman. Good guy, a room is abnormal, can make up a table of mahjong. There are too many shocks, the girl is already a little bit arrogant, and it won't be worse anyway, you love it. Kidding. Seeing the Cheongsam girl approaching the bar, she quickly picked up the coffee and moved it aside, willing to act as a little transparent. Upon seeing this, Wang Li raised his eyebrows and glanced at her. Even if he had low self-esteem, he didn't have to be so obvious. Although you really don't have a second-degree illness, you're pretty good, but it's also outstanding among ordinary people. Luo Qingqing didn't see it, so she was shivering and immersed in her head. You're so embarrassed to say, send me someone who doesn't understand anything. Seeing Yan Yan laughed at the second-degree sick girl, Wang Li was out of anger. But considering that Lilith heard her self-esteem frustrated, her voice was lowered a lot. If you're not satisfied, I can change someone over at any time. The Cheongsam girl twirled the black folding fan and covered the lower part of her face, revealing the corners of her eyes. This statement is by no means false. If the other party needs it, she is ready to meet any needs at any time. However, in this process, she will add some pranks that are unique to her. Wang Li didn't hear the deep meaning of this sentence, rolled his eyes and refused. Compared to Lilith, I want you to stay here to work, but, forget it, although it's a bit stupid, I am quite satisfied with the new employees as a whole. They are at least hard-working enough to do the work perfectly. That's it. The Cheongsam girl held her chin up boringly, and she felt disappointed that she didn't meet her expectations. Well, it's not impossible for me to stay and work. Come on, one eldest lady is enough, you don't need two. Who can stand up to two at once? In the middle of the conversation between the two, Luo Qingqing instinctively relaxes her breathing, for fear that it will attract the attention of the Cheongsam girl, and experience the ultimate horror that life is worse than death. I knew I was leaving just now, so why bother with a cup of coffee and trap yourself here? Never be greedy for petty bargains anymore. Luo Qingqing decided to engrave this painful experience in his DNA. It's still the same, golden mead. Even though he was dissatisfied with the second-degree sick girl, Wang Li didn't really get angry in the end. Sitting obediently on the high stool, the Cheongsam girl swayed her long legs slowly, humming an unknown ballad in her mouth. Wang Li shook his head, and took out a bottle of attractive golden wine from the closed cabinet at the back. Suddenly Luo Qingqing's eyes looked straight. Good stuff. Intuition told her so. The Cheongsam girl noticed her little movement, and the corners of her mouth curled up. P.S. I try to write the relationship between the old rulers and the outer gods in line with the original setting. Naya is the chief messenger of A. Although loyal, he sometimes fools his boss. This is reflected in the above SCP-166. Seeking flowers. Ask for evaluation votes. Begging. ** Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 31. Staring at Wang Li's movements without blinking, Luo Qingqing quietly swallowed. Especially when the liquor is poured into the wine glass, it exudes the delicate fragrance, mixed with the mellow fragrance of honey, which makes you want to stop. I really want to taste it, the girl thought so in her heart. But she knew she didn't have that qualification. Since experiencing a series of events, her inspiration seems to have improved a lot, and now she can more easily perceive the extremely mysterious power in the golden liquor in the wine glass. Reaching out to take the wine glass from Wang Li, the Cheongsam girl did not taste it for the first time, but turned her attention to Luo Qingqing. The girl's smile gradually stiffened, and she stammered, what's your order? So, girl, you are too inferior. Wang Li sighed secretly, the most important thing to be confident is to be a man. Well, look at what you are looking forward to. Do you want to try it? The half-faced girl said generously, for the sake of fate, I will give you a little gift. Luo Qingqing suddenly gave out a warning sign in her heart, and the red light representing danger flickered wildly. No. No need. I don't deserve to drink this kind of high-class drink. She refused to belittle herself, for fear that the rejection would cause displeasure. Moreover, Luo Qingqing did not believe in the existence of this unknown danger. In the entire store, the only person who can make her feel safe is the owner. Although the owner with blood-red eyes seemed to be well-intentioned, the viciousness and jokes that were really hidden in them occasionally flashed past. The things in front of her are undoubtedly good things, but it doesn't mean that she is qualified to touch them. In order to stop being ignorant and boldly contact taboos, Luo Qingqing not a lot of information during this period, and even in order to contact Wang Li, the level of the Foundation was temporarily improved. Even if the compilation is still E level, it is possible to inquire documents of level 3, confidential, and below. The Cheongsam girl was quite surprised. She really wanted to see how this tiny and stupid human would end up after drinking golden bee wine, but she didn't expect to break it. Luo Qingqing feels right, this kind of wine needs to be used by humans under certain circumstances. Only when human beings travel between stars and call the mythical creature by a key, can they drink this wine, so that the time of the body and soul is stagnated, and the time of the body and soul is stagnated, and the shuttle that spans light years is carried out. So this thing is a high-end product that guarantees the integrity of the body and spirit when traveling through the universe. The intake varies according to the distance traveled. Once you get out of this type of situation, it's hard to predict what the outcome will be. In short, it's definitely not much better. Intuition saved her life. The Cheongsam girl temporarily let go of Luo Qingqing, and turned her attention back to Wang Li's side. After pouring the guests, he poured himself a glass and sipped it. The attractive golden yellow liquid entrance, the unparalleled beauty, in addition to the sweetness, it also presents a deep texture and exudes the fragrance of the bone marrow. It is better than any aged Chianti or the best Chateau de Gin. Even the combination of the two is not enough to compare with this wine. It is not only spicy, but also makes people feel very sleepy, just want to lie down and have a good night's sleep. Wang Li in a slightly drunken state just feels airy and very comfortable. At this time, Lilith walked out after finishing the backstage. He pinched his eyebrows and said, "It's just right. Next, let the shop take care of you. I'll lie down for a while." Every time he drank this wine, he would sleep well. Ah? Oh. Lilith looked at the Cheongsam girl and stood by the bar, looking at the store honestly. Wang Li went to the couch in the bookshelf area and lay down on his own. With my eyes closed, my brain became dizzy after a while, and my breathing became slow and long. As Wang Li fell asleep, a tentacle cautiously poked out from the bookshelf, flexibly hooked on the blanket hanging next to him, and slowly covered him. The Cheongsam girl and the yellow eccentric turned a blind eye to this, one reading a book and the other tasting wine. When Luo Qingqing saw this scene, her calves trembled, because the malicious air filled the cafe instantly, and Wang Li fell asleep as if she had activated a certain signal. Instinctively looking at the door, she found that she did not know when, an illusory silver door appeared there, isolating the inside and out, turning this place into an alien space. It feels almost impossible to get out. Luo Qingqing's heart is cold again. I am in a dangerous situation, but my thinking is glowing, and I think of an emoticon inexplicably. Oh, I can't put it on anymore. Husky mixed into the wolfpack.jpg, taking advantage of the last chance, Luo Qingqing stood up abruptly and shouted at Wang Li, who was half asleep on the sofa, "Boss, I'll leave first, and come again next time." With a subconscious murmur, Wang Li rolled over. This sound was like a pass. The changes in the house suddenly abated, the illusory silver door became transparent, and the real store door appeared. Luo Qingqing didn't care to finish the coffee, and rushed out of the store without looking back. She was worried that she would stay in the store forever if she stayed for a while. Watching the worms flee as usual, the Cheongsam girl didn't pay much attention to it. Not every small human could arouse interest, not to mention that this person was labeled as Wang Li. If you use identity to describe it, it's like an existence like a dependent family. So even if she stayed just now, there is little chance that something will happen, maybe. The moment he rushed out of the store, and breathed in the fresh air from outside, Luo Qingqing felt alive. Too frightening. I can't describe the atmosphere, it's all taboos. Secretly, I was afraid to look at the cafe that had just come out. The whole shop was shrouded in an unnamed mist, looming. She found occasional passers-by sweeping this side, and she didn't seem to notice the existence of the coffee shop, as if there was nothing. Call. Luo Qingqing only stepped away when her legs stopped trembling. Within 3 days, she would never dare to approach this place again. But after she left, she discovered that she hadn't got any useful information except for her name. Oh no, about SCP-166, Cheongsam Girl, Yellow Weirdo. If you want to think of it like this, Lamadu is calm on the surface, but undercurrents are actually surging. Such a group of big men gathered together, but there was no much movement, or they were bored and waiting for a big one. P.S. You can read Chapter 27. I don't know what the junk review is doing. The editor I went directly to past it. Seeking flowers. Ask for evaluation votes. Begging. Asterisk thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 32. Regardless, just report what you have seen and heard truthfully. Thinking of this, Luo Qingqing did the same. The result. The above is very satisfied with her results and encourages her to keep working hard. Hanging up the phone, the girl looked blank. Mu Ran put the phone in his pocket, and when he reached it in, he suddenly touched a hard object. When she took it out, she found a yellow mark in her hand. Hey? What is this? After staring at Huang Yin for a long time, Luo Qingqing frowned and thought, remembering that she hadn't bought anything like that, so she had a sense of sight. He pursed his mouth and groaned, and suddenly a flash of light flashed across his mind. I remembered. That yellow weirdo. Not long ago, I watched the monster in yellow in a trance and saw something very similar to this, right? With a distorted expression, the girl wanted to throw it away, but she didn't know the consequences of throwing it away. Putting it in her hand was like a hot potato. Right. Turn in. Where is this kind of thing that I can have, and must be handed in? She made up her mind and prepared to rush to the Foundation. Regardless of Luo Qingqing's mood, Zhao Ruguo frowned when he heard information about Wang Li from the backbone of Delhi. SCP-166 unexpectedly appeared in the coffee shop, things suddenly became complicated, and there was too much involved. Snake Hand, ghouls, old dominators, Wang Li, monsters in yellow dresses, girls in Cheongsam, what role do these people play? With too much interference, Zhao Ruguo didn't have the ability to make decisions, so he immediately chose to report to Zhang Jianyu. Throwing the trouble to the boss to get a headache is the only place for Zhao Ruguo to be more relaxed. He only needs to complete the tasks assigned above. However, Zhang Jianyu can't figure it out. The main ghoul manuscript has a lot to do with it. Wang Li's ability to retrieve the sacrifices taken by the old rulers all explains its strangeness. The more you come into contact with the ghoul manuscripts, the more cruel the search for the truth of the world is in front of you. As a result, it was reported layer by layer, and the incident even alarmed the 5 members of the Supreme Council. Compared with the following, they know more about the old rulers, so they attach great importance to the existence of Wang Li being in a high position. Sometimes you can see more clearly based on the overall situation. Just like in the Foundation, many containment items even have quite a high level of authority. They are in a cooperative relationship with the Foundation. If you encounter troubles that are difficult to handle, you can ask those exceptions for help. Of course, certain containment objects that are extremely destructive and hostile to humans must be executed. In the end, Zhao Ruguo received the order to keep Luo Qingqing as it is, slowly test the attitude of the other party, confirm whether it is an enemy or a friend, and then decide whether to cooperate. Based on what the person exposed, he must have understood the old rulers to some extent. After making up his mind, Zhao Ruguo felt that he would find time to do his original ideological work. Young people have to endure difficulties and overcome them, otherwise they will be embarrassed. The next era will belong to you young people. With countless soul chicken soup flowing in his mind, he nodded, that girl is relatively simple and should be able to eat this set. Café. Why did I fall asleep again? When Wang Li opened his eyes, the sun was already slanting to the west, the blood-red setting sun hung in the sky, and the sky above his head was already showing a dim starry sky. As soon as she stood up, she saw the Cheongsam girl still staying at the bar, drinking golden mead without a sip. Why haven't you left? This is surprising. Based on Wang Li's experience, she usually only stays for a while. There is no believer to call today. The Cheongsam girl didn't turn her head. Difficult to understand the brain circuit of the opponent, as soon as Wang Li opened the quilt, Lilith came over with a glass of water. Thanks. Being so sensible is very gratifying. It is indeed the right choice to keep her down, but it is just because she has to stay far away, and she is inexplicably afraid of the illusion of physical contact. After taking a sigh of relief, Wang Li looked to the corner. The man in yellow had already left, and the room was as deserted as before. How does it feel to sleep for an afternoon? The Cheongsam girl turned around, slightly splitting her legs under the Cheongsam and crossing each other. It's not so good, there are always sounds of drums and flutes in dreams. Wang Li pinched his eyebrows, frowning and frowning. Really? The girl nodded as if relieved. Since you are awake, then I can leave. I didn't ask why I was leaving when I woke up. This guy could always find out all kinds of strange reasons. When she saw her leaving, Wang Li screamed at Lilith and said, "Send you a friend." Friends? The girl who had grown into a competent maid tilted her head slightly, her face puzzled. Didn't you know each other? The second-degree sick girl took the initiative to interrupt and said, "No, we are actually not familiar with it. Didn't you say that it was introduced by a friend?" Pursing her lips and blinking at him, the second-yearly ill girl appeared to explain irresponsibly. Wang Li had to direct the question to his maid, "What's the matter, you really don't know her?" "Yet." Lilith nodded hesitantly, "But it should have something to do with the person who sent me." Thinking that the second-degree sick girl was also a member of the Foundation, Lilith successfully misled Wang Li. "That's almost the same." Almost thought that he was suspected of trafficking in persons, Wang Li, who was relieved to find the instigator to settle the account, found that only the sound of the wind chimes at the door was left. "Every time I ran fast, alas, I can only teach her the next time." Feeling helpless about this, Wang Li closed the store and ceased business. After the accident in the village in the city, he must be off work at around 6 in the afternoon, and no more than 7 o'clock at the latest. To this day, the grid is still there, and it is not clear when the blockade will be lifted completely. As he was about to turn off the lights, Wang Li hesitated when seeing Lilith upstairs ahead of time, and went to the bookshelf to pull out 2 books. On the second floor, the innermost room. Lilith was about to change into the maid outfit, when she heard a knock on the door. She turned sideways slightly, and Wang Li's figure was reflected in her eyes. "Master, what's the matter?" Wang Li froze for a long time before reacting. "Who taught you to call me like this?" "The female guest today." "Yes, not doing business all day, just thinking about causing him trouble. P.S. Ask for flowers. Ask for evaluation votes. Begging. Asterisk thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 33. The Master is here, good fellow. If others say a few words, just believe it. This is a perfect integration into the role. Should I ask you to do things in the future, should it be called the Master's task? Although it did touch his XP system a little bit, Wang Li quickly recovered. Don't listen to her in the future. Here are the 2 books I picked randomly for you. I feel bored to pass the time. It's not bad to read them as weird novels. Oh. Lilith seemed to understand. Putting the 2 books on the desk, Wang Li exited the room and closed the door by the way. Untie the bow and take off the rather cumbersome maid. At this moment, Lilith's state is like a cover candidate who only appears with certain letters and numbers. When she came to the desk, she looked at 2 slightly old books. One is called the Book of Exodus and the other is called Magic Truth. First pick up the book called Magic Truth and turn to the first page. Anyone who reads this book must pay attention to the weight of my words, and to explore secrets that no one knows, they must pay a corresponding price. What catches the eye is the solemn warning. Unlike Wang Li's randomness of not taking this seriously, Lilith can feel the power and heaviness of this language. Just to pass the time. The girl embraced the magic truth that countless people dream of, and looked puzzled. If you let people who are exposed to occultism know that she can easily get magic truth, the reason is so trivial, 100% jealous and crazy. For a long time, this book has only existed in rumors. There is only 1 volume, and no one has seen it. Like a manuscript, it does not exist at all, that is to say, this book is the original text. Magic Truth is the real encyclopedia of devil knowledge. The content covers magic and possession, vampires and ghouls, demonology, witch worship, werewolf legends, burnt offering rituals, and human sacrifices. It is so versatile that it can even be used as an introduction to occultism. In fact, few instincts surpass it. It's a pity that Lilith doesn't understand the value of it at all. Let's see it tomorrow. Touching the antlers that grew on her head again, the girl got into the bed and concealed her hoof-like lower limbs. Antlers can be seen as cos, and the feet are more troublesome. Magic Capital Foundation. With his head drooping and waiting in a certain room, Luo Qingqing was worried, and from time to time she glanced at the yellow seal in front of her. Soon after waiting, Zhao Ruguo pushed in. I heard that you made important discoveries when you contacted the coffee shop. As soon as he arrived, he was straightforward. He sighed for this former subordinate, and never expected that he would come to this point. Yes, that's it. The girl decisively pushed Huang Yin to him and told her own experience. Although I said it over the phone, it was impossible to cover everything. With a serious expression on his face, Zhao Ruguo couldn't help nodding as he listened to the history of blood and tears of the special commissioner. In Wang Li's opinion, a funny experience can feel the despair and terror in the eyes of another person. But is her luck a bit too good? No matter what happens, all will survive without risk. Zhao Ruguo didn't suspect that Luo Qingqing had a problem, but worried that she would have subtle and abnormal changes without her own knowledge. This will be reported later. After sorting out all kinds of information and confirming that there was nothing missing, Zhao Ruguo terminated the questioning. When the old boss sorted out his thoughts, Luo Qingqing had a hesitant expression. Group leader, I think I may not be suitable to continue. Before finishing talking, Zhao Ruguo quickly interrupted. Very well, you did a good job this time. The organization will remember your credit and keep it. I believe you can do it. No, it smells like a pyramid scheme, and why should I take credit for it? Will it be a monument when I die? Luo Qingqing slandered her abdomen, her expression extremely depressed. In fact, she knew in her heart that no one knew the cafe better than her. If she went to another person, she might die at any time. Anyhow, I have been there twice, and I have a little bit of the situation. Regardless of other people, as long as you don't provoke the owner, your life may be guaranteed. Of course, the shopkeeper's casual attitude may also be pretending. Ahem. Zhao Ruguo is obviously not embarrassed either. The Foundation is not a cult that cares about human life. On the contrary, it belongs to a state organization. It can't be so cold-blooded that a little girl can be sent to death with righteousness. Qingqing, we understand that it is not easy for you, so we decided to give you some help. Help? The girl didn't know why. For safety reasons, during your mission, you can apply to the Foundation for the right to use SCP-427. Zhao Ruguo said with a serious face. Luo Qingqing's brain almost didn't react for a while, and she couldn't help being shocked when she heard it clearly. Applying for the right to use the containment. It should be understood that the use of containment items is very strict and must go through multiple procedures, and the use process must be subject to supervision by all parties. Most of them belong to the role of a team, and there are very few cases of single use. Even so, most of them are used internally by the Foundation. If she performs a mission, she will definitely take it out. Isn't the Foundation afraid of accidental loss or other situations? Well, no, if you think about it from another angle, you can imagine how much the Foundation attaches importance to coffee shops. Luo Qingqing was shaken suddenly. Even though she didn't have this thing, she would very likely agree to it. Zhao Ruguo has never learned mind reading, but she didn't know what she was thinking, so she hit the railroad while it was hot. The only restriction is that you have to return to the Foundation to store the containment at the end of the mission every day, and wait until you move again. As soon as this remark came out, Luo Qingqing was basically sure that she agreed. The name of SCP-427, she has heard. The appearance is a small, ornately decorated silver-polished small box, a secondary containment object produced by SCP-500, Universal Medicine, processed by SCP-914, Universal Conversion Machine. It does not start to operate on its own and has no malicious intentions. It only requires minimal protection. It belongs to the type with the least side effects among the contained items. It has all the effects of SCP-500 and can be reused. P.S. Ask for flowers. Ask for evaluation votes. Begging. Asterisk. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 34. This decorative object, whose width is no more than 3 centimeters, is specifically used to heal biological injuries and purify their body structures when opened. But the side effect is that if exposed for a long time, the contacts will slowly transform into an amorphous flesh beast. When SCP-427 is opened and exposed to organic tissues, it will quickly heal cell damage and purify compounds or infectious diseases that invade the body to a certain extent. When the small box is healing, it automatically optimizes the biological system of the person being treated. If it takes at least 10 minutes to irradiate, the chance of resistance to diseases and poisoning will increase by 500%. If it takes at least 15 minutes, the resistance will rise to 1000%. After 15 minutes of irradiation, the muscle system will evolve on its own, enhancing its strength and pain tolerance by 200%-300%. For more than an hour, the user will transform into an inhuman, amorphous creature. The flesh beasts are highly aggressive and cause deadly attacks on everyone in the field of vision. The trouble is that they can resist most known weapons. Once the Foundation accidentally gave birth to an SCP-427-1, and it took a certain price to subdue and kill it. After studying the complete variant, I was surprised to find that the biological brain and other biological system optimizations that mapped it may show that its IQ may exceed 400. Simply outrageous. It is conceivable how much impact this kind of thing has on humans, but there are pros and cons. Just like Pandora's box, this thing can indeed help humans evolve, but once it is abused, more accidents will erupt and the consequences will be unimaginable. And this is just one of the containment items kept by the Foundation. To put it bluntly, everyone in the Foundation is walking on thin ice. In order to prevent the entry of people with improper minds, some mental containment items are used every once in a while to test all Foundation members in batches. The standards for the use of various containment items are too strict. This let Luo Qingqing know that she is definitely not used as a tool that can be discarded. Is there any problem? If there is a need, I can raise it, I will report to it. Zhao Ruguo hopes to solve the problem in one go. Luo Qingqing shook her head, not for the time being, I will bring it up if necessary. Well, now you go to the containment area with me and sign documents such as permission applications, so that you can come back later and perform the necessary procedures faster. There was no reason to refuse. The girl followed the old boss along the passage through the third underground floor, and came to Containment Area 17. Most of the items that can be contained here are of the safe class. Few are Euclid class, even if they are dangerous, they are at least friendly to humans. Because of this, there are not many guards. Generally, there are only 2 to 3 guards in a containment house, which is not particularly guarded. As a result of the passage order issued above in advance, Zhao Ruguo and Luo Qingqing flowed unimpeded until they reached the front of a small 5x5 room. After greeting the guard duo at the gate, Zhao Ruguo asked her to record her own information on the system here. Such as fingerprints, pupils, voice, appearance, DNA, and even mental fluctuations, all kinds of verifications came again. Finally, under external surveillance and identification, Zhao Ruguo took out half of the key, combined it with the other half of the key taken out by the guard duo, inserted it into the keyhole of the metal gate, and pressed the LCD screen next to it to enter the password. Ah, this! Luo Qingqing, who was watching during the process, was stunned. This is too much trouble. Don't be stunned, remember all the steps, I will not accompany you a second time in the future, and amnestics will be performed afterwards. Zhao Ruguo couldn't help his toothache when he thought of the physical deletion memory method. I heard that Professor Mo paid a certain price to study the Ghoul manuscript and found that there is a spell that can make people forget specific memories. I really hope to put it into use as soon as possible. The physical deletion memory method has always been flawed and may not be 100% effective. Even if it is improved, it will not pose a threat to life. If it fails, you have to lie down for a day or two. Oh. Luo Qingqing hurriedly took a few steps, carefully remembering all the steps. When the metal door that could defend the rocket launcher opened, she couldn't wait to step into the cramped room first. First impression: so dark. There was only a table in the center of the empty room with a password box placed on it. Luo Qingqing couldn't talk about it, she should put this baby on her own. Go, start the password for the first time, you set one that is not easy to forget, unless the Foundation headquarters is cleared, otherwise only you will be able to open this box in the future. Zhao Ruguo stood at the door and did not follow up. Hiss. So there are cards? Luo Qingqing gradually became excited, and carefully pressed the complex code on the side of the box in the initial state, and then with a click, the box automatically bounced open, revealing the small thing like a pocket watch inside. Reaching in and picking up the pocket watch, the girl was like a precious toy. If there are still such good benefits in the future, she would rather do the task to be old, 3 years and 3 years. Okay, let's come out, now just let you touch it and take a look at this thing roughly. Zhaoruguo stopped the thought she wanted to open. Although she was a little regretful, Luo Qingqing had to put it down honestly, relocked the box, and stepped out of the room. How do you feel? He asked suddenly when he returned half of the keys and walked out with the lively girl. Excellent. Zhaoruguo was dumb, and contact with these mysterious objects is indeed easy to make people excited and unstoppable, so he should be more closely guarded. By the way, I have one thing to remind you, about holding SCP-427 exceptionally, don't mention it to anyone, including me who will lose this memory tomorrow, understand? No problem. The idiot said to the outside that he didn't think he died fast enough. Many evil organizations in the outside world aim to seize containment items to increase their strength and do whatever they want, just as terrorists tried to obtain heavyweight thermal weapons in the past. Moreover, SCP-427 has limitations. If it dies, it cannot resurrect you. You must still pay attention to safety issues. Okay. P.S. Ask for flowers. Ask for evaluation votes. Begging. Asterisk. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 35. When the two were talking and exiting, after passing by the other side of the containment area, Luo Qingqing actually saw an acquaintance. Now her nominal captain, Xia Ruobing, was standing in front of a shelter with a few teammates, handing over with the guards. Hey, Captain, what are you? The girl approached in surprise. Xia Ruobing also saw this new player who had met shortly but had experienced life and death, and was equally surprised that the opponent appeared here. Perhaps the handover was over and the guards opened the asylum, so Luo Qingqing happened to see the situation inside. It is a two-room small room with a bathroom. If you look carefully, the furniture and objects in it are purely inorganic. Without waiting for more observation, a figure emerged from it. It was a tanned male with an Arab or Middle Eastern appearance. He looked in his early 30s and was about 185 centimeters tall. Black hair, blue eyes, his upper limbs, lower limbs, spine and shoulder blades have been replaced by artificial unknown substances and unknown metals, glowing with cold light. A symbol from Sumerian culture is engraved on its forehead. I'm here to hand over the contents, and I will take SCP-073 on missions later. Xia Ruobing explained. As for the task, I didn't elaborate on it. Although it is not worth keeping secret, there is no need to say it to make others worry. Oh. Seeing SCP-073, Luo Qingqing secretly smacked her tongue. Is this the containment item codenamed Cain? Unimaginable. Then we will leave first. The task is urgent, Xia Ruobing can't talk to her anymore, and bid farewell immediately. All right. Seeing the captain winking at her with Zhang Wei and Zhang Lan behind him, Luo Qingqing pretended not to see it. Both of them like to greedy others, it is better to have less contact. Watching the group leave, Luo Qingqing also followed Zhao Rui to leave the containment area. With the containment items, she has a little more confidence in the success rate of future missions. Wang Li had a dream, a world at dusk. He likes dusk. In this dream world, dusk is the seam of the two-color Mobius ring. A certain existence twisted a black ribbon on one side and a white ribbon for half a turn, then connected it end to end, and ingeniously made the seams show a certain chaos. The world slides on the ribbon, bringing endless day and night changes. As a result, the world is eternally turned upside down, which is obviously not stable and perfect. Immediately, the world in the dream changed. The world was still in the infinite ether, and day and night passed over the world. Suddenly, countless black cracks appeared, representing the will of chaos coming, dyeing the dusk with dark colors. On the other side of the crack, in the center of the chaos, there is something vaguely presenting ancient agitation. Dreaming of this, he suddenly woke up. The sky was already bright at this moment, and the sun hung in the middle of the sky. I overslept. Mumbling and getting up, Wang Li probably recalled the weird dream just now. But found that he couldn't remember clearly, he stretched his waist and put on clothes and went downstairs. Lilith has been open for business as always, and is wiping everywhere with a clean towel. Every day her job is to clean up, not even entertaining guests. Because there are no guests at all, even if there are guests, Wang Li will be the receptionist, and she can't make coffee or tea. In order to reflect the value, the blonde maid had to work diligently every day, even in Wang Li's opinion, she would wipe it 2 or 3 times. This girl paper shouldn't have a cleanliness addiction. Well, even if it does, it won't hinder him, but it seems that the cafe is tidy and clean. Good morning, Lilith. Good morning, Master. Wang Li wanted to correct himself, but he didn't know what kind of concept the second-degree sick girl had instilled in her maid. After saying hello, he said to the well-behaved maid, "Today is the weekend. I don't need to go to work. I have no problem when I go out in my free time." Lilith quickly refused, "I don't like going out, it's better to stay here." Yet, she's an otaku again. Sitting in front of the bar computer, Wang Li did not persuade that modern young people have their own way of pastime, and he doesn't like to point fingers at others casually. Opened his trading network account, he began to browse for any special items during this period. In addition to being quiet, Wang Li's other interest is collecting all kinds of weird things. This includes things that are not limited to books, antiques, and unreasonable uses. For example, many books in the bookshelf area are purchased through this website. From time to time, he will come to Dobayo to see if he can find the items he likes. Feel free to browse the pages. Wang Li read the private message again. Because he spent money on the website to post a large number of advertisements for the acquisition of rare, and ancient monster products, many people will take the initiative to find them. Although most of them are deceptive garbage, there are also a few things that interest him. Unfortunately, after finishing everything, there is no one that can make people's eyes shine. Some people regard him as a fool, and all the antiques passed down to the 18th generation have come. Similar to private messages, delete them all. Collecting things is not to make money, but to satisfy the hobby. Some people like antique calligraphy and painting, and some people like gold and gems. But Wang Li is all-encompassing and strange. The precious ones can cost millions, and the cheaper ones can also be collected. Thanks to this, the storage room on the third floor was filled with all kinds of gadgets, although many bought them and threw them in for a day or two to eat ashes. Speaking of, Lilith, why are you wearing a maid outfit on weekends? Seeing the black and white girl coming and going lightly like a butterfly wearing a flower, Wang Li couldn't help but project and follow. Could it be that strange attributes have been awakened? I don't have any other clothes. Lilith said honestly. Except for a few sets of maid outfits that must be changed and washed, there is nothing to wear daily. Where's underwear? Nor, they said everything about me is up to you. They? Suddenly Wang Li felt that something was not right. Good fellow, leave everything to him. Did this hire an employee, or did it find a daughter? P.S. To be honest, I think the traditional maid outfit is more poking my XP system, with a picture attached. Seeking flowers. Ask for evaluation votes. Begging. Asterisk thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 36. Wait a minute, doesn't that mean? He looked at the blonde maid subconsciously, and followed what he saw hanging down the stairs to the drying area. Isn't Lilith now a gesture of liberating nature? This can't work. Throwing his mobile phone to her, Wang Li rubbed his eyebrows and said, "Buy your clothes first, and then deduct it from your salary." Oh. Obediently took it, and gathered the black and white dress. Lilith scanned the clothes that met her requirements. Staring at the slightly dull girl, Wang Li suddenly discovered whether the blush on her face was deeper than the previous day, but it didn't look like she was sick. Maybe the physique is like this. Since it's okay, he naturally won't get to the bottom of it. When I turned my attention to the computer screen again, I found that the private message column flashed again. Not being impatient, Wang Li clicked to see that he was also a seller who wanted to sell rare items. The other party didn't talk nonsense, and sent photos of the object directly. It may be taken with a mobile phone, the pixels are not very high, but it can be seen roughly. It was a golden crown, which seemed to be carved with some kind of creature and wavy lines. Wang Li was immediately fascinated, because the pixels were too blurry to identify the specifics. But there is no doubt that, just a glance, he wants this stuff from the bottom of his heart. After chatting with the seller, the other party vaguely revealed the meaning of making a deal as soon as possible, and if you want to, you can trade as soon as possible. At first, Wang Li was still hesitant, ready to see the condition. But the person on the other side did not accept the detailed video introduction, and had an attitude of wanting or not, don't just look for the next buyer, for fear of leaving things in his hands for too long. Therefore, Wang Li directly agreed to his offer. 100,000. The other party has another requirement that things must be traded face to face. This makes Wang Li hesitant. If the distance is too far, he may give up. But after reading the address sent by the seller, it happened to be near the Magic City, near the countryside on the other side of the East Daxia Sea. Fortunately, it was not on the Yellow Sea side, because the village where the accident was reported in the news was dozens of kilometers away from the seller. If he is close to the Yellow Sea, Wang Li closes the dialogue on the spot. So after confirming that the address was correct, he made up his mind and decided to go there. And at the insistence of the other party, negotiate and confirm the transaction time at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Glancing at the wall clock, it was just after 11. Now it will take at least an hour to drive there, and it will take a while to find a place and find someone there. You have to go out immediately. With this in mind, Wang Li said to the only employee in the store, Lilith, have you chosen? I'm going out soon. Ah. All right. Quickly returning the phone to him, the charming maid stood up and watched Wang Li directly preparing to go out. The moment she opened the door, she hesitated and asked, Master, when will you be back? The corner of his eyes jumped, and every time Lilith used this name, he got a toothache. Reality is not anime, and it may not be contrary to the daily use of this term in the second element. But this is reality, and my scalp numbs when I hear the master. It's just that Lilith refused to change her name as if she had been brainwashed, so Wang Li had to force herself to get used to it slowly. Probably before night, it's just a deal anyway, I won't stay longer. Okay, may the Lord bless you all the best. The girl pinched the cross and said piously. I almost forgot, the pure maid is still a Catholic. Saying goodbye to the cute maid, Wang Li came to the nearest street, hired a taxi, and stated the address. Originally, the little brother didn't want to go so far, but he gave too much. 3,000 yuan, the package went back and forth, but the fool refused. 3,000 yuan for 4 hours, no matter how you think. Mei Zizi asked him to get in the car, and the little brother was also a real person. The speed of taxis out of the city gradually increases. That place, I haven't been to it yet. It's very close to the sea. Can I ask you why you are going there, said the driver's brother. Wang Li naturally does not pretend to be cold, just to meet a friend. So. The two talked all the way so as not to drive boredom, and for some reason they suddenly talked about the recent news. The driver's brother is a familiar one and talked about the unexplained disappearance of the seaside village in the news. Wang Li's expression couldn't help being more solemn, and similar news always made him interested. Speaking of it, it was our taxi driver who first found out and then reported the case. Unfortunately, no one believed it. Whenever we talked about the presence of murlocs on the beach, we all listened to it as a joke. The driver's brother fell into memories. In fact, I didn't believe it at first, but my friend knew the person who reported the crime. He took a video and sent it to me at the time. I thought it was a special effect, and I wondered what movie was so real, but after a few days, the official staff came to the door very seriously. Let me delete the video and ask if it was sent to other people before I realized something was wrong. Wang Li listened very seriously. The driver's brother thought he would laugh like those passengers before, but he didn't care at all, and if he was impatient, he would take the initiative to shut him up. Who knows that this person not only listens carefully, but also asks for details from time to time, such as what the murloc looks like. Feeling bad, the driver's little brother hurriedly explained vaguely, in fact, I made up all of the above. I don't know how it is. Don't pay too much attention to it. Just listen to it as a joke. Although the official personnel deleted the video and didn't let it be specifically sealed, they must not tell others, the younger brother still knows that it cannot be exposed in large quantities. But it's not a problem to keep the backlog in my heart, so I often release my depression in a joking tone, who knows it's more real. Where is your friend? Wang Li asked again, but what he got was the little brother playing haha and fooling him. The other party obviously didn't want to talk about this topic anymore. Wang Li knew it, so he didn't mention it anymore, and instead talked about another topic. After about an hour and a half, I got off the highway and a small town appeared in the distance. If you don't know the name, you won't find this place on the map. Seeing the town getting closer and closer, Wang Li said, it's almost here. You will stay in the town and wait for me for a while, and I will return to the devil with you after I finish my business, okay? Okay, you do it slowly, don't worry, I happen to be able to review the video. The little brother breathed a sigh of relief, he was really worried that the guests would ask questions, but it's okay. P.S. Ask for flowers. Ask for evaluation votes. Begging. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 37. Leaving aside the truth and falsity of what the little brother said for the time being, Wang Li looked at the small town ahead. The closer you get to the place, the surrounding landscape composed of sand and weeds becomes more and more desolate, with the oncoming faint smell of the sea. You can faintly see the shoddy, weather-beaten wooden bridge across the inland eroded by the tide. The anxious eyes are all desperate. During the observation, the driver's brother had already drove into the town. Looking from the streets on both sides of the town entrance, there are not many people around, and the houses seem to be empty, making them extremely deserted and quiet. From afar, Wang Li saw several weird buildings on the outskirts of the town, with a certain strange style. Without waiting for him to look carefully, the vehicle crossed the street, and the houses on both sides obscured the sight. According to the address, the driver drove to a prosperous area in the town. Wang Li felt that this place was a little strange, so he opened the door and got out of the car without much thought. As soon as he got out of the car, the pungent fishy and rancid smell around him made him extremely uncomfortable. This is too stinky. Good guy, at least 10 times more stench than the seafood market. If it weren't for the place already, he really wanted to turn his head and leave. Forcibly resisting the discomfort, Wang Li looked forward. The deserted old houses and dilapidated houses were crowded together disorderly. Even in the center of the town, it still looked lifeless and sparsely populated. Although Wang Li knew that there were not many people in the town before the day of the market in rural areas, it was too few. Going along the street with doubts, about a few minutes later, I arrived at the destination that I had agreed with the seller. It was a small restaurant, and the environment was not so good. There were flies flying in the stalls outside, and the names engraved on the door eaves were also vague. Wang Li frowned and walked over and found that 2 or 3 guests were eating noodles inside. Taking out the phone, he dialed the seller's number. A few seconds later, the phone rang on the desk of the guest in the innermost corner with his back to the door. Wang Li looked subconsciously and found that a hoarse voice appeared on the other end of the phone at the same time that the person was connected. This is a coincidence. He hung up and went to the innermost corner of the restaurant, and said to the person, "Hello, you are the seller who sent me a private message." Hearing this, the man raised his head, revealing a haggard face. His face was thin, his eye sockets were sunken, and his dark eyes were thick and scary. People in their 30s and 40s, but they are depressed. "Yes, it's me." The hoarse voice was consistent with that on the phone. "Where is the thing? I want to see first." Before Wang Li could finish his question, the middle-aged man seemed to be very taboo to let others hear him in a low voice. "Wait to my house and say it." Frowning and staring at the suspiciously looking middle-aged man, Wang Li didn't really want to contact him, and there was a problem at first sight. Especially when the other 2 guests in the restaurant saw that they were looking for him, there was a faint disgust and fear in their eyes. After a few bites of noodles, the middle-aged man lowered his head and said in a low voice, "Let's go." Wang Li hesitated for a moment, and followed inexplicably watching the other 2 guests. The 2 people walked toward the outskirts of the town. He never asked the seller what was going on. He made up his mind to leave when he got the things. Walking, Wang Li found that he had come to the entrance of the town, and he was heading straight in the direction of those unique and weird houses. The middle-aged man went straight into the rightmost house, and after he entered, he closed the door sneakily, with a nervous look on his face. Wang Li's heart was tense, almost thinking that the other party was going to do it. However, the middle-aged man just glanced at him and entered the inner bedroom on his own. "Wait here for a while." "Good." After the man disappeared in the corner, Wang Li looked at the environment. This is a bungalow with 2 bedrooms. Although far away from the town center, the unpleasant fishy smell is still floating in the air, even more intense. People can't help but wonder whether this smell has been deeply integrated into this land. There was the sound of turning things in the bedroom. Wang Li was a little curious and wanted to see it, but it was not polite to do so when he was in someone's house, so he waited patiently in the lobby. When he counted the number of wood cut off the window to 50, footsteps reappeared in the bedroom. I saw the middle-aged man came out with a black cloth-wrapped box. His expression on his face was slightly relieved. "This is what you want." Wang Li took the box and couldn't wait to lift the black cloth to open the box. He has always been very curious about strange and weird things, and every time he gets something, he can get great satisfaction. When the box was opened, it was exactly the same as the photo, and a sharper real golden crown came into your eyes. The patterns that are not clear on the internet can be seen in full at this moment. Upon closer inspection, what is carved on the golden crown is a half-man, half-fish creature, and a pattern of clear water waves. The more you stare at it, the more you can feel its magical beauty. It seems that through its ingenious weird relief, it is the vast and boundless secrets and the unimaginable abyss that exist between time and space and galaxies. It is both noble and evil, exquisite and dangerous. The indescribable and indescribable sense of weirdness, as well as the creatures carved on it. Wang Li always felt a little familiar. Before he could think back, his thoughts were interrupted by the middle-aged man's nervous voice, "Okay, you pay me first." "Okay, XX or VX." Wang Li closed the box and responded very readily. In his opinion, this thing is more than 100,000. Thinking about it this way, even the fishy smell became, well, it was still smelly. At least it's not so unbearable. After seeing the golden crown, Wang Li looked as usual. The middle-aged man seemed a little weird, and he didn't even react to receiving the money. He hesitated for a while, as if he was weighing something, and finally gritted his teeth and said, "Actually, I have more than this here, and there are other things. I don't know if you are interested." Wang Li's eyes lit up, "Show them to me." After making up his mind, the middle-aged man moved a lot more neatly, and in less than a moment he pulled a large bag of things out of the room. P.S. The previous picture should be released later, and it is not too harsh, just to give you an approximate image of Lilith. Seeking flowers. Ask for evaluation votes. Begging. ** Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 38. Loosening the rope on the bag, the middle-aged man emptied everything on the lobby floor like a wholesale goods. In an instant, the alien statue with a laurel crown on its head came into view. It was a piece of ivory with excellent color, which was given a shape by the extraordinary craftsmanship. In addition, there is an extremely strange bas-relief. It is not an antique, let alone the technique and style of any sculptural school. On the 15-centimeter square clay sculpture, an obnoxious crouching monster can be clearly seen, or some kind of pagan totem. Before he could look carefully, there was a sudden noise from the door of another bedroom. Wang Li instinctively glanced at it. The place where he entered was a child about 12 or 13 years old, lying on the door frame with only his head looking out. Unlike ordinary children, the weird, deep-set folds on both sides of his neck make it easy for people to overestimate his age. His head is very narrow, and his bulging, grey, dim eyes never seem to blink. His nose is flat, his forehead and chin are contracted back, and he has a pair of ears that don't seem to be fully developed. Around the thick long lips on his face, and on his cheeks with large pores and light grey color, there are only small pieces of sparse yellow hair that are irregularly scattered and curled. In some places, the face seems to be irregular and weird, as if the epidermis has peeled off due to certain skin diseases. Seeing the child appear, the middle-aged man looked ugly, and snarled, "Give me in, don't come out." The child didn't say anything, and withdrew his head blankly and gloomily. After such an interruption, the middle-aged man became irritable, and said hard, "Well, I won't sell these things anymore. Go away." Wang Li didn't care, maybe the family ugliness was found to be in a bad mood. The child suddenly looked like he was suffering from a deformity. It is no wonder that he needs to sell things to make money and live in such a humble life. The people in the town stared at him with inexplicable eyes. Finding the reason for the man's irritability in his heart, Wang Li can understand a little bit. No longer entangled with the middle-aged man, he paid the bill, took the box with the golden crown, turned around and left this simple and fishy bungalow without a word. It's a pity that I didn't buy the other things. When I got back to the town center and got on the taxi co-pilot, Wang Li regretted it in his heart. The driver's brother was eager to watch the video. Seeing that he came back, he refreshed, put down his phone and asked, "Shall we go back now?" "Well, it's troublesome." He glanced at the empty-handed car, and when he came back, he brought a customer with a black cloth box. The driver didn't care, and the car turned on the ignition to turn around, and drove in the direction when going back and forth. Just an hour after the two left this strange town, several cars also drove from that road to this town. "Is it this way?" Sitting in the driver's seat of the first jeep, Xia Ruobing asked the team members in the back seat. Zhang Lan took out a record book and looked through it for a while and confirmed, "Yes, Captain, the information on the disappeared village shows that there is a connection with this side." "Very well, we must find clues this time." There are also people hiding behind. Xia Ruobing's eyes were firm, and he drove the jeep into the town. 7 or 8 vehicles in a row attracted the attention of the people in the town. The town is very closed. Except for trucks to purchase goods at certain times every day, there is basically no circulation. Like Wang Li, everyone came to the center of the town, stopped their cars and all stopped. The difference is that Xia Ruobing came with a task to find a family surnamed Zhao, and the disappearance of the village has an important relationship with him. In her capacity, naturally, there is no need to go to the police station in the town without looking for them one by one. Leaving most of the people in place, Xia Ruobing led 5 or 6 people to set off. Along the way, she found many people hiding at home, so the town seemed quite deserted. Even if he occasionally peeked out a few lines of sight from the window, he quickly retracted. Frowning, she has a bad feeling. The villages that disappeared seemed to have experienced similar situations. First they turned from lively to prosperous, but then gradually became deserted, and finally the whole village was nowhere to be seen. Fortunately, in the process of searching for the truth, officials discovered the root cause of such a situation, the murlocs wandering in the sea according to rumors. When the mystery was involved, the case was handed over to the Foundation for processing. The fishy smell is so heavy. Walking on the road, Zhang Lan whispered. Zhang Wei grinned, after all, it's a place near the sea. The town is not big, so Xia Ruobing and his party arrived at the branch police station soon. After showing the documents and coming here to have a mission, the police officers were not enthusiastic, and even somewhat resisted. When Zhang Lan asked for the information of everyone in the town, they tuned out the information perfunctorily. This attitude was obviously wrong. Xia Ruobing resisted not saying anything. According to the system they belonged to, they were not under the control of a group. While waiting for Zhang Lan to look through the account information, she chatted with a person in charge here and asked if there had been any accidents or strangers here recently. As a matter of course, there was no useful information. More than that, this person also pretended to think hard, and it was too suspicious to mention all the ambiguities about the energy used to involve her. Confirming that he could not get useful information, Xia Ruobing immediately gave up asking and fell into thought. It seems that the situation is not so good, but the village is at least still there, which means it is not too late. After checking, the team leader, there are 4 households surnamed Zhao, who live in each of them. After reviewing the information, Zhang Lan approached her ear and whispered. Xia Ruobing responded, no longer staying, glanced at the person in charge with thin cheeks, his eyes narrowed slightly, then, excuse me. The person in charge gave a stiff smile, welcome to have any problems at any time, and we will do our best to help. No, I believe we can solve it. Even though he didn't even bother to stay polite, Xia Ruobing was 100% sure that the police officer had questions. Maybe, there is a problem with the materials shown to them. When I first arrived, I felt a grey nose, which made the group feel less optimistic, but also cast a shadow. After that, the intuition verified everyone's thoughts, and none of the 4 households surnamed Zhao met the description in the target. At dusk, everyone returned to the center of the town, but the first day was unfavorable. Captain, what shall we do next? Let the magic capital continue to transfer people, every family, find me every inch. Since it is confirmed that there is a problem here, why does she have to solve it alone without asking for help? P.S. Ask for flowers. Ask for evaluation votes. Begging. Asterisk thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 39. Here, it's here. Point out the location to the driver's brother. Wang Li took out his mobile phone to scan the QR code to pay the bill. Pay XX to the account 3,000 yuan. No problem, continue to call me next time if you have something to do. This is my phone number. Hearing the sound of money falling into the bag, the driver's brother quickly handed over the phone card with a bright smile on his face. Wang Li caught it smoothly, carrying the black cloth box directly, turning around and leaving freely. The driver was also considerate and stopped directly at the street intersection outside the cafe. Shaking the box, Wang Li is in a good mood. In the shop. With a feather duster, she didn't tap the tabletop once, and Lilith sat blankly at the bar with one hand propped her chin. The boss left one afternoon, and only one customer came to the store, the odd man in the yellow coat who had seen him in the corner 2 days ago. Do you just sit there when the other party comes, silent? Even if Lilith had the courage to go up and ask, that person would just not hear. With nothing to do, she took out Magic Truth and scanned it carefully. Perhaps due to the extraordinary physique and bloodline, quite a few things don't seem to be strenuous, such as some things about summoning and other folk spells, which are easier to understand. Although I haven't tried it, the blonde maid feels that if she gets serious, she can definitely use it according to the above requirements. Jingle. The wind bell that belonged to the store rang, and Lilith raised her head and said instinctively, "Welcome." Then I saw the boss walk in carrying an inexplicable box. "Master, you are back. I really hope to get used to it as soon as possible." Wang Li nodded melancholy. When passing by the glass pool, he suddenly noticed that the pet octopus, which had always been slumped at the bottom, was moving. "This is really strange." He leaned close to the pool and reached out into the pool. Then the little octopus's tentacles wrapped his hands and pulled hard, while the other tentacles pointed at the black cloth-wrapped box. "Do you want this?" Judging from the action of the little octopus, Wang Li vaguely guessed its intention. At this time, the eccentric in yellow glanced here, his eyes seemed to be somewhat contemptuous. But Wang Li didn't see it, only the little octopus facing him found it. If you follow the usual attitude, there will definitely be some abnormal changes between the two sides. But now the little octopus seems to be reluctant to confront him, focusing all on the box. After thinking about it, Wang Li opened the box and threw this strange golden crown into the pool. The little octopus seemed to be more excited, and the tentacles that entangled him tightened even more. Wang Li smiled. The reason why he went to the small town was because of the collection addiction and the curiosity he must get. Now that I got it, the sense of curiosity and ambition was gone. That being the case, it is also stored in the storage room on the third floor for eating ash, and it is also stored in the pool to increase its beauty. It does not make any difference how to choose it. "Lilith, I am in a good mood tonight, if you want to go out for a big meal, I will treat you," Wang Li said proudly. The maid raised her head in confusion, her gaze flicked over the little octopus playing with the golden crown toy, and then she stood up awkwardly and refused. "Sorry, I don't really want to go out." "Tisk, it's not that I said, the character of your house family has to be changed sometime, you can't stay out of contact with the social people," Wang Li persuaded me painstakingly. However, no matter what he said, his maid just refused to agree, and there was no way at all. "Forget it, I just asked the store to deliver it to the door. Anyway, the store has all the necessary equipment." Angrily abandoning the idea of dining out, Wang Li decided to deliver the goods to the door. In the past, he disliked the trouble, so he bought barbecue grills and hot pot and other necessary items in the store, so that he could enjoy them without leaving the house. After all, 2025 is much more convenient than in previous years. "Actually, you don't have to think about me," Lilith whispered. She has always been alone, as she was in the monastery. Wang Li thought he hadn't heard. This employee who is so simple that he can no longer be simple, always let his life want to take care of the idea. Coastal town. Through the cracks exposed through the broken windows of the bungalow, the middle-aged man who traded with Wang Li quietly looked at the town outside. The usual town must be deserted and dead, but unlike in the past, the town is brightly lit at this moment, and dozens of official personnel search and inquire from house to house. This situation has continued from the afternoon to the present, shortly after trading with that young man. The town was ordered to be sealed off, only to enter, not to leave. This makes the middle-aged man very anxious. As a result, things have not been sold, and people have not left. He knew that the people behind looking for these weird things would definitely come to the door. It was only delayed by certain things and didn't show up for a while. If before that, dispose of these things, and then run away incognito, those big guys might just look at the objects and turn a blind eye to him, the ant. However, I can't go. In less than half an hour, the official personnel will come to the door and discover the strangeness in his home. As a member of the Dagon esoteric Buddhism, the middle-aged man is well aware of the irrationality of the world, whether it is the creatures in the sea or the Foundation that opposes it. Sandwiched between the two, the root itself cannot be controlled. Perhaps from the time he dug up the weird thing, it was already destined to end. But in any case, the preparations that must be done must be done. Turning off all the lights in the house, the middle-aged man went to his son's bedroom and asked the son who was born with deformity not to make any noises later, and then hid him in the cellar. Soon after all this was done, there was a knock on the door outside the room. "Hello, is anyone home? We are investigating the household registration." The investigator couldn't hear any questions, as if it was exactly what he said. However, the middle-aged man did not open the door. He hid behind the door and dared not come out. He stared at the door closely. It would be great if the other party could just retreat. It was a pity that he was disappointed. If it were a census, the people at the door might leave temporarily and would find another chance to come back next time. P.S. Ask for flowers. Ask for evaluation votes. Begging. Asterisk. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 40. Seeing that the person was not there, Zhang Wei, the investigator, frowned slightly. According to asking the people in the town, there should be people living here. If not, where did you go? The words have been passed down long ago, so that the townspeople should stay home honestly and don't go anywhere. At this time, another person's voice came from behind. The infrared camera shows that there is someone inside, don't be deceived. Zhang Wei was concentrating and knocked on the door again. Is anyone here? He made up his mind that if he didn't open the door in another minute, he would just break in. After all, under the general environment, this family's behavior is so weird, it is easy to arouse the suspicion of others. The middle-aged man hiding behind the door heard the conversation between the two, knowing he could not hide, and quickly moved to the bedroom quietly, and then walked to the door with heavier steps pretending to have heard him. He shouted as he walked, "Who?" Opening the door, the middle-aged man looked at the 5 or 6 people outside with a puzzled look. "You are?" Zhang Wei frowned slightly and stared at the man in front of him. He had dark circles under his eyes and his face was haggard. He didn't know what he was doing at home. But out of the possibility of misunderstanding the townspeople, he said kindly, "Don't be nervous, we just ask about the basic situation. By the way, we will check the house again, whether it is necessary to demolish this kind of dilapidated house." He winked, and the people behind went straight into the room to check for any abnormalities. The middle-aged man wants to refuse, so don't squeeze it out before you say it. Suddenly he was a little panicked, and his expression became irritable. "What are you doing? You are trespassing in a private house. I can make a complaint." Seeing his suspicious appearance, Zhang Wei, who was already suspicious, looked much colder. "Whatever you want, before that, wait until we finish the search." The middle-aged man wanted to do it, but found that 2 people were staring at him closely. As the 3 of them entered the bedroom to explore, he lifted his heart tightly. If those things were found, it would be over. I should say what I was afraid of, but within 10 minutes, there was a turning noise in the bedroom. "Group Zhang, there is a situation here." Hearing this, the middle-aged man's face suddenly paled. After a few minutes, a bunch of weird things appeared in the lobby. It is the ones that have not been sold to Wang Li, carved from ivory into a profiled statue with a laurel crown on the head. Have an abominable crouching monster, or a very strange bas-relief of a pagan totem. What kind of creature is that? Only the most pathological fantasies can sew the tentacles of the octopus brain, the scaled winged dragon, and the twisted and swollen human limbs into such a terrible beast. Along with these things, there are also some written materials. It contains manuscripts and notes of secret societies and heretical worship, all of which are connected with a certain name that has been erased. Everyone present was bewildered by these evil and noble things, and was shocked by its beauty for a long time and couldn't let go of it. Among them are middle-aged men. Even if they have them, he dare not admire them for a long time, otherwise it will lead to extremely terrible consequences. Where did these things come from? In the end, Zhang Wei used his great will to reverse the charm from the relief and questioned the absent middle-aged man. Seeing that his figure was quite rickety, he couldn't help but stunned. "It seems that you don't need to say more about it. Could you please come with us?" With trembling lips, the middle-aged man knew that he could no longer pretend to be deaf and dumb, and he followed the group away in despair. Knowing this, he should sell everything to that young man. Maybe he could escape at this moment. The only comfort is that the son hiding in the cellar was not found. Together with those weird things being taken away, the middle-aged man glanced at the house vaguely. As the place fell completely silent, movement gradually appeared in the house. The deformed child crawled out of the cellar at some point and stared at his father's back with bulging eyes. It wasn't until the other person's figure disappeared into the night that he flexibly jumped out of the window and ran towards the sea behind the house. Arrived at the seaside, he didn't stop, but jumped directly down, and after a few grunts, the person disappeared under the dark sea. "You mean, he is the person whose surname Zhao is mentioned in the disappearing village?" Xia Ruobing stared at the middle-aged man in front of him and asked his subordinates. This is a small hotel lobby temporarily set up as a residence. Dozens of investigators sent out have all returned. Now that they have been found, there is no need to conduct meaningless searches. Pointing to a bunch of weird products placed on the table next to him, Zhang Wei solemnly said, "Yes, Captain, these were all found in his house." The first time he put his gaze on the bas-relief, Xia Ruobing seemed to see a behemoth covered in a mist in a daze. Not daring to look again, she turned her gaze back, frowning slightly. "You take the interrogation first, and there is the next step tonight." In the process of sending people to search this small town, she found a lot of weird things, such as the Dagon esotericism mentioned in the disappearing villages. There are believers of this organization in the town, and there are a lot of them. "Understood, Captain." Zhang Wei didn't ask what the action was, as long as he did what he was supposed to do. Seeing him leading the middle-aged man to another room in the hotel, Xia Ruobing ordered that those weird things be sealed up by the way, and sent to the Foundation Research Institute early in the morning after tonight. When the lobby was quiet, Xia Ruobing turned to look at the bas-relief while others converged on the sculpture. Intuition tells her that there are terrible secrets hidden on it. However, the most urgent task is to find out the secret of the disappearance of the village and cut off the source. As for what was found, she naturally didn't need to worry about it. The first step is to find out the outliers that are mixed with normal townspeople. Fortunately, during the search process, not only were they looking for the target, they also placed eyeliners on many suspicious people, and waited until the right time to close the net. Don't have to wait too long. Under the heavy pressure, those people will certainly not sit back and die. Just wait patiently. P.S. Ask for flowers. Ask for evaluation votes. Begging. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 41. The official action seems to have stalled, and the surface of the town seems to have returned to normal. But as the night darkened, the undercurrent lurking under the small town moved along with it. It's about 11 o'clock. Located in a wooded marshland a few kilometers outside the town, hundreds of people have gathered here, and people continue to come from other directions one after another. Hundreds of people gathered in a pile, gathered around the people wearing sacrificial robes in the middle. With Yayu's pale dim light, he could clearly see that the man had a face that resembled a deformity. He is a thin man, bent over and rickety, and maybe around 35 years old. The gloomy and expressionless face scanned everyone, only to see the strange, deeply sunken wrinkles on both sides of the person's neck. The head is as narrow as the deformed child, with bulging and protruding, pale and dim blue eyes. If you look closely, you will find that the people gathered around more or less have similar characteristics. Either the ears are not fully evolved, or the forehead and chin are contracted backward, or the nose is flat. The only physical feature they have in common is the bulging eyes. Of course, there are also completely normal human beings, who have witnessed the sacrifices and demonstrated the greatness of the gods they believe in with fanatical expressions. Everyone's attention was focused on the noble antiquities in the hands of the ritual, and worshipped it. It was a winged monster with an octopus head, a bloated head with tentacles, and a gelatinous body covered with scales. Regardless of the angle of identification, this statue is completely out of touch with human history and aesthetics, and it is not clear what material it is cast in. Temporary hotel base. Captain, those people have started to act. Seeing Xia Ruobing standing inexplicably pondering by the window, Zhang Lan leaned in her ear to remind. In the small town under the dark night, there are people who keep walking out. This is reported by a few dark children who are staring at the suspicious person. It is estimated that those people still don't know if they are exposed. Withdrawing his thoughts from the bas-relief, Xia Ruobing looked straight and said in a deep voice, "Go, be sure to catch all those people in one go." In order not to disturb the whistleblower as much as possible, the people in the special team are very low-key. Putting on the night vision equipment and instructing the other small company that was in charge of dispatching to follow, Xia Ruobing went out from the back door of the hotel first. Following the followers' guidance, a group of people sneaked towards the forest moor at a very fast speed. Xia Ruobing headed into the depths of the dense forest. As he got closer and closer to his destination, there was a faint movement in the distance. Everyone's expressions shook, and they moved towards the distance where the red light and drums were emitting in the dark. And as the surrounding population gradually became thinner, the hellish scene was exposed without warning. The roaring long drums played resentful and dull noises, and the naked religious barked like an animal. Surrounded by the boiling flames, they twisted their bodies frantically, with the bloody and fragmented corpse of the townsman hanging upside down in front of and behind them. On the stone altar in the center of the circle of fire, there is an evil and noble statue. A person wearing a sacrificial robe was standing under the altar shouting loudly. In his palace, Lalei, the sleeping Thulhuhao is dreaming. Everyone only felt that their scalp was numb. During this cult worship ceremony, their pupils dilated, watching the terrifying scene in front of them, and a chill rose from their feet to the top of their heads. All arrested. Even Xia Ruobing felt deeply shocked, and immediately whispered to someone to outflank. A total of more than 30 people quietly moved to the sides until they formed a circle. Confirming that each location was ready, she gave an order and everyone rushed up. Don't move. All hands hold their heads and squat on the ground. The sudden commotion caused a panic among the cultists, and the naked fanatics immediately fled around with their ugly and bloated carcasses. Among them, some fanatics rushed to the soldiers, trying to kill them. For these cultists, Xia Ruobing certainly did not have an order that he must not hurt. Therefore, in an instant, the sound of killing and gunfire sounded at the same time. After about 3 or 4 minutes of chaos, the marsh slowly calmed down. After counting, it was found that more than 80 cultists were arrested and squatted quietly on the ground. If it weren't for more than 20 corpses lying on the ground, the chaos just now seemed to be just an illusion. But the only suspicious thing is that the statue placed on the altar is missing, along with the priest who presided over the ceremony. After receiving the report, Xia Ruobing's face was cold. These cultists may not know much, but the most important thing is sacrifice. Look. He must be found. As for her, she first returned to the town with the cultists, and then sent someone to pretend these people and returned to the magic city. The town is no longer safe. I don't know how many townspeople are bewitched secretly. It will only cause accidents if placed here. Fanatics are the most terrible. They are not afraid of life and death, and are willing to abandon everything for their faith. When I returned to the hotel, it was already 12 o'clock. Rubbing his temples tiredly, Xia Ruobing only felt that his brain was in a mess. There were too many mysterious unknowns that she encountered today, which made her a little bit overwhelmed. The sequelae of over-inspiration appear, and it is necessary to rest to restore the state. So, after she ordered to go down, she went to her room alone to prepare to rest for a while. Just as she was about to lie down, she accidentally saw the pile of weird things packed on the tabletop. She frowned and thought for a moment. Suddenly a flash of light flashed in her mind. Immediately walked to the tabletop to open the package, found the bas-relief, and then carefully stared at the pattern on the bas-relief. The crouching behemoth gradually overlapped with the terrifying evil creature in the center of the marsh ceremony. Until, the score is not bad. He is the existence on the bas-relief. Xia Ruobing gave birth to Ming Guyu. Just knowing this is useless, you have to learn more, such as the origin of this thing, its use, the people behind it, and how to confuse the townspeople to solve it once and for all. Otherwise, if this town is destroyed, the next town will receive the same treatment. Repeating endlessly will not only fail to keep up with energy, but will also cause more innocent people to risk losing their lives. Taking a deep breath, Xia Ruobing clenched the bas-relief in his hand and decided to think of a plan to complete his work. P.S. Ask for flowers. Ask for evaluation votes. Begging. ** Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 42. Sitting on the bed, unconsciously looking at the bas-relief. After a long time, the confused brain gradually developed a fuzzy feeling. Before she could figure out a way, suddenly, it seemed that the barrier between dream and reality was broken. Not knowing if he was in a dream state, Xia Ruobing saw a huge isolated city made up of rugged boulders, towering huge pillars covered with green mucus, permeating strange and inexplicable evil thoughts and evils. Looking up, the endless high walls and deep pools are covered by hieroglyphs. And in the unfathomable place under his feet, there was a sound of chaos that could hardly be pronounced. Xia Ruobing tried to listen, and 2 of the syllables had the highest frequency, which was almost impossible to repeat in human language. But if you insist on using words, it would be Thulhu and Lalei. Somewhere away from the town. It's really unlucky to be discovered. Holding a statue of a ferocious giant beast in his arms, the man wearing a sacrificial robe with a woolen newsboy hat on his head was very upset, and the ceremony was about to be completed soon, but the result was a miss. It's all to blame for those who rushed out suddenly. It would be nice if it could be a little later, the priest sighed. He glanced at his side, who was clearly searching for him, but standing in front of him were the invisible soldiers. The priest was not afraid to find him at all, grinned and swaggered through them. In the meantime, he accidentally ran into someone who was just wondering that there was nothing around him, scratching his head and continuing to search carefully. What a trash! Contempt of these blind men in his heart, the priest walked and thought, although it is regrettable, it is difficult for those people to find clues here so quickly. The special operations team is pretty awesome. With sharp eyes, he immediately noticed the badges of those who rushed over to lead them. If it weren't for the leader to sternly stated that the overall situation is the most important thing, maybe he would really spend a little thought to accompany these people for fun. With the help of SCP-268, Negligence Hat, the priest mumbled and easily escaped from the encirclement. The effect of this containment is that the subject wearing it will become easily overlooked. Unless you actively interact with others, you will be completely ignored, and your existence will not be remembered. The negative effect is that wearing the item for a long time, the impact will become permanent and irreversible, and the other party will immediately forget the existence of the wearer after the conversation is over. This thing is really easy to use. L did a good thing before he died. After leaving the encirclement, the man took off his hat and joked. SCP-268 was stolen when the important Coder L and the leader of the Serpent's Hand organization successfully planned an attack on the Bald Eagle Nation Foundation and caused chaos. I heard that another hat container is in the Dragon Kingdom. When this plan is successful, you must ask the leader to try it. The priest said as he came to a rock cave by the sea. The other hat in his mouth is SCP-180, Identity Theft Hat, and the identity of the individual who puts SCP-180 on his head will be stolen by the hat. This effect will make the original owner completely unrecognizable, even people who are very familiar with the individual cannot recognize the original owner. When observing the identity of the person who has been stolen, the individual can only vaguely describe its characteristics or clothing characteristics, but cannot identify its identity. Once SCP-180 has stolen the identity of the original subject, when SCP-180 is placed on the head of any other individual, the identity of the original subject will be imprinted on the second subject. Unlike SCP-268, which can only be effective on living organisms, SCP-180 can even be a stone, a statue, or a computer desk. Entering the cave, the shorter priest turned around to a cold and wet place that was obviously repaired. Someone was already waiting here. The man had a head taller than the priest. When he came back, he asked, "How about the ceremony?" The male priest was quite depressed. "Don't mention it, let the Foundation disturb you clean." Sure enough, something went wrong on your side. The tall man with the same appearance as the priest, with a gloomy face. Also? What do you mean? The priest felt something wrong. During the time we left for the headquarters, the holy artifact was stolen by a thief, and it has now fallen into the hands of the Foundation. Through mixing deep dives, the tall man gets the ins and outs of things, so he uses the most concise language to express cause and effect. How come? The priest man was taken aback. His bulging eyes bulged out as if he was about to fall off. The two are the twins who appeared in Western Australia and went to the Snake Hand headquarters to participate in the 10-person meeting. After receiving this bad news, even the interruption of the ceremony is no longer important. The corners of the priest's mouth twitched, and the two of them were speechless. Now what? At the meeting, it was clear that there was no problem, and it turned out to be such a mistake. Thinking of the consequences of the disruption of the leader's plan, the two shivered even though they were no longer humans. You have to cut the beard before the holy artifact is sent to the Magic Capital Foundation, otherwise it will cost too much to take it out. The tall man moved his lips quickly. I understand that they haven't started to act yet. It should be sent away tomorrow morning at the latest. If you want to act, you must take advantage of that. The priest pondered for a moment and agreed. If you want to regain the sacred object, of course they can't do it with the two of them, even if you control a few contained objects. But adding the allies of the contract makes a big difference. Seeing that the tall man took out a strangely shaped flute, the priest was surprised, and probably understood his next move. I saw him pinch the mouth of the flute. Here is a fish lip, with fin-like things open on both sides. Holding the lips of the fish to the edge of the cliff near the sea, the tall man played the melodious flute. The sound penetrated the sea level, rippling far away in the breeze. 1 minute, 2 minutes, more than 10 minutes later, the tall man looked calm and continued to play the flute. With persistence, the originally calm sea level suddenly began to ripple. The ripples gradually spread over time, turning into waves rushing to the shore one after another, knocking out countless sprays. Then, from the darkness of the abyssal sea, a silhouette resembling a head emerged. As if the beginning of an omen. 1, 2, until hundreds of thousands, countless contours completely fill the sea. P.S. Ask for flowers. Ask for evaluation votes. Begging. Asterisk thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 43. Captain. There is a situation. Temporary rest area of the hotel. Thinking was in chaos. Xia Ruobing, who could not perceive where he was suddenly awakened by the emergency knocking from outside the door. After opening her eyes suddenly, she suddenly found that she did not know when she had fallen asleep, lying on the bed, her eyes facing the bas-relief that hadn't converged. Rubbing her head and doing it, Xia Ruobing frowned. There were still incoherent fragments in the dream just now. Because it was too weird and unknown, she dared not recall it in detail. I only remember the two weird syllables of Thulhu and Lalei in a daze. The knock on the door continued. Xia Ruobing sorted out his messy clothes and found that his spirits improved a lot. When she walked to the door and opened it, she looked at Zhang Lan, who was anxious at the door, and asked, "What happened?" "Captain, it's not good. I received a report from the comrades of the Night Watch that monsters are constantly pouring out of the sea, and the goal is ours." His pupils shrank slightly, and Xia Ruobing didn't care whether it was still early in the morning and late at night, and followed the team members to a high place. With the help of the faint light of the bright moon shining on the sea, she used a telescope to see clearly the monsters that were constantly moving from the sea to the shore in groups. At this moment, the night watchmen near the sea clearly caught their faces in their eyes. Their color is mainly gray-green, but they have a white belly. Most of these things have slippery and shiny skin, but they have scaly backs. It looks vaguely ape-like, but it has a fish head and huge bulging eyes that never close. The trembling fish gills grow on the side of the neck, and the webbed membranes are covered between the long claws. They jumped wildly, sometimes moving forward on their legs, sometimes on all fours. As for the noise and barking in these monsters' mouths, it is obviously a clear and complex language that conveys dark emotions that their dull faces cannot express. The night watchman who exchanged the fire was full of cold, and they had never seen such a creature appear. Although I have followed the special team to witness some special occasions, and many creatures that have never evolved from the normal Earth. But every time I see a new existence, I always feel extremely uncomfortable. Fortunately, they don't need to deal with monsters every day. Because of this, it is hard to imagine how much pressure the comrades of the special team are carrying. Putting down the binoculars, Xia Ruobing's face sank like water, looking at the direction of the monsters' movements. They undoubtedly belonged to an isolated hotel. In other words, the other party rushed to himself. To be more rigorous, it might be the weird things placed in the room. Through interrogation, Zhang Wei got a lot of useful information from the middle-aged man, including the information that his son was gradually transformed into another species due to contact with the so-called sacred object. Inferring from this, there is a 90% probability that these monsters are targeting bas-relief or something. Xia Ruobing wanted to stick to the end, using the defensive power of nearly 50 people. However, watching the murlocs constantly appearing in the sea seemed endless. In just a few minutes, at least 4,000 numbers flowed out. At this rate, I am afraid that in less than 10 minutes, the number of murlocs will exceed tens of thousands. It is absolutely impossible to rely solely on this small hotel. And it came in a hurry, and the weapons reserves couldn't keep up. Xia Ruobing immediately ordered everyone to get in the car and retreat from here. Sticking to it will definitely not end well. Surrounded by more than 10,000 murloc monsters, from the mouth of the middle-aged man, they have the name Deep Diver. Surrounded by deep divers, it is estimated that the end will only be completely destroyed. These ugly and cruel creatures will never have sympathy. Xia Ruobing ordered the others to bring bas-relief and other evil things, and the middle-aged man, there are more things to be interrogated. Standing in a place that must be passed along the way out of the town, the snake-hand Gemini duo had a lot of time to wait for the group of cars to come. Their purpose is not to catch them all at once, but to retrieve the lost holy objects. As for whether all the people from the Foundation are left behind, it doesn't matter. Witnessing the convoy taking out guns and firing frantically on people rushing towards the hotel, the gunshots were continuous, the flames of death continued to spray out, and the murloc monsters fell one by one. The tall man didn't feel anything, his tone didn't change at all and said, "Jay, which car is the thing in?" Hearing that, the short priest held a weird stick similar to a staff in his hand, closed his eyes and felt it carefully. After a long while, pointing to the middle lane, the third one from the top, "Oh, that thief is also there." When he opened his eyes, a grinning smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. "I hand it over to you, K." The Serpent's Hand organization all use alphabetic codes to call each other, and that's the code name for the two of them. The tall man, codenamed K, remained silent, waiting for the convoy to approach. Soon, as the team was about to cross the bridge, he moved. Those bulging blue eyes suddenly stared at the driver of the third car, chanting an inexplicable mantra. Following a wave of invisible fluctuations, it is conveyed to the other person's mind along a certain medium. Looking at the deep divers chasing in the rear-view mirror, Xia Ruobing breathed a sigh of relief, and couldn't catch up with the convoy at their speed. Fortunately, she ordered a retreat in a timely manner. If you wait until the deep divers surround the road, it will be difficult to escape from the town. But just as she relaxed, a huge noise suddenly came into her ears. I looked through the rear-view mirror and discovered that somehow, the third car suddenly lost control and crashed into a boulder on the side of the road. The front of the car was deformed and could no longer be driven. Before they could react, they were surrounded by deep divers who followed them. Because of the speed of the full power, it has already exceeded 100 meters in such a while. Xia Ruobing hardened his mind and didn't let anyone stop for rescue. He only stopped and waited for death. Instead of sacrificing everyone, it is better to abandon a cart of people to preserve everything. After too much experience, Xia Ruobing had the consciousness that he could not save everyone. Rather, if you stay innocent, you won't be able to live now. Others knew this truth, and they kept silent, watching the wrecked jeep surrounded by those deep divers who were no longer chasing. Inside, the roaring gunfire kept coming, until the distance was far enough to be inaudible. P.S. Ask for flowers. Ask for evaluation votes. Begging. Asterisk thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 44. Oh, I really want to leave everyone behind. The voice of the priest codenamed Jay was very regretful. As a companion, Kay just glanced at him lightly, and didn't even mean to communicate. Just kidding, I'll stay. Although his race is not human and has transformed into a deep dive, it is impossible to use spells all the time. The name of the spell he used just now is Glance at Reality. Spells dedicated to combat and dominance. The function is to make a target fall into madness. If the opponent's will is not high enough, it will fall into madness and reduce the SAN value. It's a bit similar to Psychic Blast, but there are differences between the two. The so-called Truth Glimpse Grant technique is to bestow one's ultimate truth about the universe to others. Of course, this knowledge may be wrong, distorted, or partially correct. It is equivalent to revealing the corner of the truth in this world. If the target knows more than you know, and knows more correctly, the effect of the spell will be infinitely weakened and approach zero. Obviously, the driver's will was unable to resist the pollution from the truth and fell into a short period of madness, causing the car to hit a boulder. Looking at the vehicle from afar, the sound of gunfire became more and more sparse, and the Snake Hand twins stood still, very patient. Until the deep diver came to report that after all the relevant personnel had been dealt with, the two set out to go to the half-waste smoking jeep. Several broken bodies were left indiscriminately on the side, and the two looked into the car. There was still a living person inside. It was the middle-aged man who was arrested for interrogation. When he saw the two of them, his fear reached its peak, and his body trembled uncontrollably. "Hello, dirty thief, we finally met. If it weren't for your children, maybe we haven't heard the news so quickly. Thank you for that." Touching the half-man deep diving next to him, Kay said casually. Seeing the familiar short figure, the middle-aged man collapsed completely. At this moment, Jay had passed him impatiently, and looked at the holy artifacts in the car that had not been removed. Luxurious ivory carvings, evil bas-reliefs, all are here. Jay breathed a sigh of relief, but after a while, his face changed. The golden crown is gone. Turning his head to stare at the middle-aged man, he leaned his face closer to him, and said word by word, "Where is that thing?" I don't know." The middle-aged man was shivering and couldn't even speak clearly. "Tisk, I don't know, forget it, it's better to do it directly than to ask." Jay grinned and showed sharp teeth, "It just so happens that I hate trouble." The middle-aged man's hunch was overshadowed. He noticed something was wrong and just wanted to say, "No, I remember." Too late. As soon as the voice fell, Jay ejected a sharp machete and split his head open with a knife. Literally, it was really split. Seeing a bunch of squirming slimy things inside, Jay licked his lips, his blue bulging eyes flashed cruelly, then, "I'm not welcome." The middle-aged man has not died at this moment, but severe pain swept through the top of his head. He watched in horror as the big mouth of the person in front of him gradually approached, and then a sharp pain came from the top of his head, and the whole person lost consciousness in the next moment. Gulping fresh brains, Jay sucked hard, revealing a satisfied expression. It wasn't until the brain that couldn't be fresher was completely devoured, Jay just raised his head and wiped the white floury pulp that dripped from the corner of his mouth. Seeing his companion closed his eyes, Kay did not speak. He knows that Jay is using a spell called memory swallowing. As long as he swallows a fresh brain, he can absorb the memory and abilities of the opponent. Within 24 hours, the Devourer can use the memory and abilities of the opponent. 24 hours later, the Devourer will lose the memory and ability he has acquired. Unless he is willing to sacrifice his sanity to welcome more knowledge from the abyss, he can permanently absorb the target memory. Fortunately, there is no one here. If humans are allowed to see this scene, even if there are no deep divers, the sand value will drop because of this scene. Just as the ancients ate monkey brains, fixed it, and poured oil into it while still alive, enjoying the freshest taste. In the eyes of these monsters, there is no difference between humans and monkeys. Found it? Seeing Jay finally opened his eyes, Kay asked. Well, almost. Jay licked the remaining residue at the corner of his mouth. I saw him sold to someone who lives in the Magic City. Kay nodded. It should not be too late. Go and get it back as soon as possible. I will continue to move forward with the plan. No problem. With SCP-268, wouldn't the Devil City let it come and go? Fortunately, Jay is not very interested in sexual desire, otherwise I don't know how many sister papers will be harmed. After escaping the chased convoy and driving more than 20 kilometers away, the dull atmosphere has not broken. This loss is my fault. Xia Ruobing pursed his mouth tightly. She really didn't expect the other party to be able to summon so many difficult monsters, and it would be difficult for guns to penetrate the scales and skin of those things. But there is no way. The people behind the disappearance of the village have not been exposed, and they don't know what is hidden behind them. How to avoid loss in the case of black eyes? Basically no one can do it. Xia Ruobing's decision to leave immediately indicates that the on-the-spot command is very good. Everyone understands this, so no one blames it, but rather appreciates it. At the same time, based on what happened today, the 7th Special Operations Team knew that this was definitely not a problem that a team could solve. Even with the addition of SCP-073, which has not yet arrived and is still going out, it is impossible to face it. After all, the opponent is not good at fighting. At most, there is no need to worry about his safety hazards. I will report specific information about a series of incidents when you go back. You are ready, and we will join this mission again at any time. Xia Ruobing only lasted for a short time, and soon arranged various matters. I thought it was a high-tech cold weapon. Who knew that the other side took off the mask, and the showdown said I didn't pretend it, I used magic. P.S. Regarding the settings of all monsters, I will strengthen them according to a reasonable level, otherwise a few shots will be too bad. For example, the most embarrassing son of the K family, the Wilson who was killed by the dog or Wilbur Cumming. In addition, I wrote these spells based on the mythology and magic diction in the 7th edition of the Thulhu Running Group Rule Book. There are more than 500 kinds of spells on it, which looks big. Seeking flowers. Ask for evaluation votes. Begging. Asterisk thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 45. The heat weapon is very powerful, but when it comes to magic, it is all right. You don't know when you are hit, maybe the next second, maybe thousands of miles away. It's totally unreasonable. Others don't need to see you at all, maybe they know your name, and if you have some medium, you can easily erase your existence. This statement is absolutely not false. If it wasn't that Gemini knew not many spells, and they weren't strong, many things wouldn't need to be so troublesome. The closer you get to the abyss, the more you understand how terrifying the ultimate reality of the universe is. Just like Xia Ruobing at this moment, she has resolved several containment anomalies and witnessed several mythological creatures. The longer she passed, the more she feared the unknown. Magic City. Once again awakened by the longing gushing out of her heart from her sleep, Lilith gritted her teeth, sweat gradually oozing from her forehead, soaking her dazzling golden hair. She suffers every night, and the impact every day is more severe than the day before. She wondered how long she could support it, and she might be dazzled by her instinct in the next moment. It's not surprising to feel that the string called sanity gradually tightens. Lilith squeezed the quilt tightly, bowed and forcibly resisted the side effects of the blood physique. Although he barely endured it in the end, he drifted away on the line of mental breakdown at any time. The energy was exhausted again, and the sky seemed to have brightened in a daze. Next door to her, Wang Li almost woke up now. The dream I had yesterday seems a little strange. Smacking his lips, he woke up in a daze and lifted the quilt to look inside. With the inexplicable touch under him, he couldn't help but feel quite melancholy. It seems it's time to find a girlfriend. After dreaming of Wuhan, Wang Li got up and changed his clothes and went to the bathroom. Unlike the bathroom, there is only one bathroom on the second floor, which is at the end of the aisle near his bedroom. After a while, there was a pattering sound from the shower room. At the same time, Lilith, who looked tired and sleepy, also got up. First, facing the Chaoyang, which was less than 8 o'clock, stunned for a while, and then slowly swallowed down the bed. Looking at himself in the mirror, the pajamas are messy and full of folds, revealing the marks of the shoulder straps. A beautiful blonde hair is also very messy, with a few mischievous hairs curled up. Due to the sweat last night, the hair on the forehead and sides stuck to the cheeks, which was particularly uncomfortable. Taking out the spare maid outfit from the closet, she had to replace it with the maid outfit because the normal outfit she had purchased hadn't arrived yet. Fortunately, the maid outfits ordered by Wang Li are all custom-made, and the materials are much more comfortable than ordinary clothes. Holding the clothes that needed to be changed, she walked slowly to the bathroom, and heard the patter of shower water coming from inside before she got even closer. "Boss? Are you inside?" Lilith asked. After Wang Li's efforts, the girl finally agreed to use the name of the boss when she did not need to go to work on weekends, and to use the name of the owner during work. "Yes, you also want to take a bath?" "Then I try to be as fast as possible." Lilith said quickly, "It's okay, I'm not in a hurry." Just about to exit the outer room where she put her clothes, she suddenly smelled a strange smell that made her yearning for it soaring. His eyes quickly followed instinct and moved to the clothes that Wang Li took off, as if there was something very attractive to her. She walked extremely resistingly. Looking at the darkened underwear somewhere hidden by her clothes, the girl's ears were red, and she subconsciously glanced at Wang Li, who didn't know anything in the bathroom, her heart beating faster. After a while, Lilith stood like a sculpture, trying to leave but unable to do so, and her brain fell into a fierce struggle. On one side is the instinct brought by the blood physique, and on the other side is the education and 3 views of life received for more than 10 years. Once she vowed to enjoy a life of poverty, simplicity, and chaste, but when things came, she realized that some things were not shifted by human will. Her spitting breathing became a little heavier, and the beating sound of her heart made her flustered, fearing to be heard by the people inside. But all this is just her psychological function, and the 2 sides of the brain are in dispute. But as the time spent here grows, Wang Li may end the shower at any time, and there is not much space for her to consider. Missed once, next time, who knows if there is a similar good opportunity. And there may be a negative effect of approaching what you desire. The blood starts to rush, and the body temperature gradually rises to the level that a normal human will definitely burn the brain. Instinctive thoughts are like demons, driving Lilith to slowly reach out. "Lord, please forgive me." For the second time, she said this sentence for forgiveness, and when she was weak, Lilith closed her eyes with tears in her eyes, obeying her instinct. A few minutes later, when Wang Li came out with a towel and wiped her wet hair, she found Lilith flushed with a hint of shame and rushed into the bathroom. "What's wrong?" He touched his chin with a look of confusion, unable to figure out the answer for a long time, so he shook his head and muttered, "The girl's mind is really unpredictable." Not paying much attention to the messed-up basket, Wang Li threw his clothes into the washing machine at will, then blow-dried his hair and went downstairs. About an hour later, Wang Li, who was in the coffee shop sorting the bookshelf area, saw Lilith hesitate. Knowing that girls take a bath really slowly, he didn't have much to say. But the maid was very strange. When she noticed that his gaze was swept, her cheeks flushed, as if she had done something shameful. Wang Li is very puzzled. "No, I can easily misunderstand you doing this. He certainly didn't know how much Lilith wanted to die at the moment, but in addition to wanting to die, she had a sense of relief with ease, and finally did not have to endure the painful torture of instinct. Lilith, come and help me divide the books. Ah? Okay. Okay. Knowing that she couldn't hide her by name, the lovely maid moved 1 meter away from him. Wang Li didn't care and took down all the messed up books. Novels, magazines, strange stories, ancient books, are all divided into categories. With him, Lilith did not notice those weird tentacles and eyeballs coming out of the gaps in the book today. P.S. Ask for flowers. Ask for evaluation votes. Begging. Asterisk thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 46. While tidying up, Wang Li chatted casually. Did I show you those 2 books? Well, I didn't understand a part of it, so I watched it slowly. For example, in Magic Truth, the superficial part is easy to learn. Once it involves more advanced areas, Lilith immediately catches the blind. The knowledge from the abyss made her afraid to touch, worrying about terrible consequences. Cannot read? Wang Li laughed, so you can just read it as a novel, don't be too serious, those 2 books are at best used to pass the time. Oh. Master, oh no, the boss is really amazing, so profound things are completely ignored, no wonder the people of the Foundation want to send her here. Lilith respects and admires the youth in front of her from the bottom of her heart, so that she can return to a normal and quiet life. But when he thinks of something that he swallows when his brain is not awake in the morning, his admiration gradually deteriorates. There were signs of hot cheeks again, and the girl could only forcibly reverse her thoughts, put her attention in front of her eyes, and carefully sorted out the books. It's really different to have a person acting as a helper. It didn't take much time to organize everything. Sitting on the high stool next to the pool, Wang Li faced the entrance of the store and used a cat-like thing to reach into the pool to tease the little octopus, which was once again depressed. After poking its head, the little octopus wrapped its tentacles around the cat stick in dissatisfaction, and pulled it down forcefully. Wang Li smiled and wrestled with it like a playful. As usual, I can just play with the little octopus for a day. But at a certain moment, he again found a sneaky figure outside the store. Lying on the glass window, like a thief, the unknown person with only one head exposed looked in carefully. Frowning, Wang Li doesn't believe that this person is a thief, but in these days there is no such thing as an honest person stepping on a cafe on the street during the day. Let go of the funny cat stick, he walked out of the store and came to the suspicious person. Hello, what help do you need? The man was startled and lifted his head from the corner, revealing that beautiful innocent face. Luo Qingqing, why are you squatting here and not coming in? Wang Li was speechless when he saw the visitor clearly. Is there something wrong with my brain? I am still playing a secondary role, such as a ninja. When found out, Luo Qingqing was not embarrassed, stood up and scratched her cheek and said, I see if those 2 people were there that day. It was dangerous to contact this store. With the 2 weirdos in yellow clothes and the girls in Cheongsam, the difficulty at least increased from SN to SSS. If she meets those 2 people, Luo Qingqing intends to turn her head and leave, putting the task of contacting the owner aside. Fate is always more important than mission, but not today. I really want to say that this guy is a little bit heartless, and if anyone goes through that kind of thing, I'm afraid he will think about it for quite some time when he comes here again. And she, good fellow, didn't turn her back for 2 days, and came over boldly. She really never died. Rolling his eyes and returning to the store, Wang Li continued to tease the little octopus. After confirming that the environment is safe, Luo Qingqing generously followed in, but she always paid attention to the wind and grass outside. As soon as either of the 2 shows signs of coming to have fun, they will go away immediately. Why are you here today? After all, he was considered an acquaintance, and Wang Li was naturally rude. Well, he has never had a good attitude towards people with brain problems. Luo Qingqing accepted the other party's bad tone of course, hesitating for a long while after all, but turned to another topic. Boss, last time I saw the golden wine that the Cheongsam girl drank, can you sell me some? Golden mead. Right. Luo Qingqing nodded quickly. Wang Li responded happily, okay, 1 drop per 100,000. Luo Qingqing looked dumbfounded, do you see me like a fat sheep? With a light cough, she quickly reacted, maybe it was the price. But I can't afford it. Boss, we are all so familiar, can you get a discount? Wang Li pondered for a while, also, 10% off. 10% off? That's it. Luo Qingqing no longer hopes, or the boss, you can see how much I am worth, and I will sell myself to you. If you are as clever and valuable as my maid, I might agree. He joked. Forget it. SCP-166, how does she compare to an ordinary person? According to the higher-level understanding of SCP-166's life experience, it seems that this girl who has just awakened her blood physique has hidden more terrifying abilities. The so-called ability to let plants grow and restore the originality of the craftsmanship is nothing but the fur that is revealed on the surface. According to the Foundation's current understanding, if this girl continues to grow, she will inherit the memory of her bloodline. She will have the natural understanding and execution ability of Havilah, the son of Black, the supernatural program clock. This is a worldwide ritual that can irreversibly return human civilization to the Neolithic period. The so-called Havilah, according to the Foundation's understanding, originally originated from the creation of the Bible. In the Old Testament, God Yahweh created the world and man, first Adam, then Eve. He then created a paradise in Eden in the east for the original humans. In this paradise, the river has 4 channels. The first river is called Bison, and the place it surrounds is Havilah. As for how and where this ceremony will be held, the Foundation people cannot know. All they can do is to be optimistic about SCP-166, together with the owner of the mysterious café. Alas, Luo Qingqing, who failed to bargain, lay down on the bar in frustration, wandering aimlessly in the café. Of course, she didn't dare to look at the bookshelf area again, the only place she dared to look at was the handmade statue area in the window. Since the ancient Gook giant used it, the statue shattered, and it was placed on the experimental platform for a long time to study. It was not obvious at all, and it could only be attributed to the mysterious disappearance on it. Therefore, the researcher suggested that if a perfect statue can be obtained, perhaps something can be discovered from it. In this way, the task fell on Luo Qingqing's glory. She was thinking about how to get a few other statues from the boss, so she tried her best to do so. P.S. In the last chapter, I made a glorious sacrifice again, and I was split. Seeking flowers. Ask for evaluation votes. Begging. Asterisk thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 47. In any case, it is always right to have a good relationship with the boss first. If you can complete the task, you may get some fringe benefits after you get closer. For example, the boss thinks she is too pitiful and weak, half selling and half giving away some good things, although this possibility is not high. Wrong. Can't be so arbitrary. Maybe the relationship is not close enough, and when the goodwill rises to a certain level, there may be unexpected benefits. Thinking of something in her mind, Luo Qingqing suddenly said, speaking of which, boss, what is your attitude towards the Foundation? After blurting out, she reacted, but she couldn't take it back. It's so abrupt. The girl regrets a bit. Foundation. Wang Li wondered why he would ask this question. He considered it and judged his opinion. In fact, ordinary people have heard about the foundation of this organization. After all, in recent years, the magic capital should be an endless stream of miracles across the country and even the world. Even if the government wants to bury it, it cannot be seamless. The difference is that the official quickly resolved the incident and deliberately played down many effects. If it is not for ordinary people who are interested in similar things or have experienced people around them to discuss on specific forums, there is not much attention from the crowd. When things do not happen to themselves, people always choose to ignore them. Mainly in this impetuous society, hot searches are constant, and strange things are covered by lace news soon, and they are forgotten after a while. When someone mentioned it, I remembered that there was something else. There is a good saying that the only lesson mankind has learned from history is that mankind cannot learn anything from history. This sentence can sum up most people. I think about it. Overall, there is nothing dissatisfied, but... Luo Qingqing felt tight. Wang Li was looking forward to it. I really want to use all of these containment items as collections one day, if only the Foundation can agree. He thinks he is a person full of curiosity about unknown things. If he can place many contained objects as collections, he will definitely be able to satisfy his own collection addiction. This idea is too dangerous. The girl's scalp is tingling. Ha, Kidding. Seeing the boss's serious, even regrettable look, Luo Qingqing didn't believe that he was joking. I had to show a reluctant smile and dryly echoed, "Ahaha, it's so funny. This person may have a problem with his head." Wang Li was not sure before, but now he can make an assertion. It's a pity that she is so beautiful, and she doesn't know if her boyfriend will go to jail in the future, because mentally retarded is illegal. Inexplicably aware of the pity in the boss's eyes, Luo Qingqing was uneasy. What's wrong? What happened? Okay, what's the point? Knocked on the table with gravity. Wang Li felt that spending too much time with this girl might affect IQ. Black tea, thank you. Seeing the boss turned around to make tea for her, Luo Qingqing secretly looked at Lilith, who cleaned the table and chairs. The last time I met briefly, I was frightened by the monsters in yellow clothes and the girls in Cheongsam, and they didn't have time to pay attention to this containment object classified as a level 4 threat by the Foundation. After careful observation, he exclaimed, "This is SCP-166. How should I say, it's beautiful. A traditional black and white maid dress, which wipes the tables and chairs very naturally. When bending down, the hem of the skirt sways slightly, revealing thick high-heeled leather shoes and white stockings covering the rounded calf from time to time. The dazzling blonde hair and the starry eyes that are different from ordinary people make her look like a girl who walks out of the second element." She insisted on using a certain character to describe it, and she could only think of the Queen of Tokiwada, whose figure and image were basically the same, but the temperament of the two was not very similar. At a glance, she couldn't resist that charm even as a girl. Of course, the Cheongsam girl is more beautiful, but it is scary enough to make people ignore her charm value. What a great boss to make SCP-166 work honestly. Luo Qingqing smacked her lips and was not worried about abnormalities. Wait, she discovered that, according to Foundation information, the abnormal abilities of SCP-166 were not seen in the store at all. How did you do it? The news was no less than a magnitude 12 earthquake, and the girl couldn't close her legs. You know, the Foundation's containment method is simple and rude. According to their method, since it would affect men, SCP-166 was completely guarded by women, locked in a room where no one was near, and she was not allowed to touch anyone. In a very cruel way, he was treated as a prisoner with life imprisonment. To some extent, the contents do not possess human rights, but are tools and articles. But the boss here is different, allowing the contained objects to move freely, without worrying about the occurrence of anomalies. This news should also be reported. Luo Qingqing secretly wrote on the small notebook and waited for Wang Li to make black tea and hand it to her before pretending that nothing happened. In the middle of the pass, the pendant hung around his neck was exposed while the other party reached out his hand. Wang Li glanced inadvertently, and by the way, he saw the badge on her chest. It was a logo with 3 arrows inserted into the circle in the shape of a fringe. Seeing this sign, he couldn't help raising his eyebrows. "Are you from the Foundation?" "What?" The identity was discovered, Luo Qingqing's first thought was, and then his brain went blank. It wasn't until Wang Li pointed to the pattern on her chest that he realized that he had actively exposed. "This is the unique icon of the Foundation. Worse, I just applied for carrying SCP-427 from the Foundation containment area today. I was so excited that I actually forgot to remove the sign when I came over." Luo Qingqing turned her brain madly, trying to see his thoughts from the expressionless face of the boss. At this moment, the atmosphere suddenly became dull. "If you deny it, it is too fake," so she bit the bullet and said, "Yes, is there any problem?" "Haha." Wang Li chuckled lightly. He had some problems, but he felt strange that he could actually meet people from the Foundation. "Can you tell me something about what your Foundation is holding?" Wang Li supported his chin with one hand and leaned forward slightly. With such an aggressive posture, Luo Qingqing's breath was choked. If she said it, wouldn't she reveal the secrets of the Foundation, and then GG? But if you don't say it and anger the other party, she is still GG. P.S. Ask for flowers. Ask for evaluation votes. Begging. Asterisk. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 48. After vacillating between early GG and late GG, it was Wang Li who solved the trouble for her after all. "I can't say it." He suddenly became dull. "No. There is nothing to say." Seeing that the other party's face turned cold, Luo Qingqing quickly stabilized. The mission of the Foundation is how to deal with the goal under reasonable circumstances. If you want to make a good relationship, it should be considered as a proper show of sincerity. Then, providing certain information does not seem to be a betrayal organization. Anyway, I don't know too much. As for the very confidential and important things, it is probably not her turn to check. Feeling at ease again, Luo Qingqing let out a light cough, and slowly told him some domestic and foreign safe class containment objects, and some Euclid class containment objects. Such as SCP-999, Itch Monster, SCP-085, Person in the Painting, SCP-590, Suffering with You, SCP-131, IPs, SCP-580, Qinhuang 5 Heavenly Seat. For these unknown containment objects, Wang Li showed great curiosity. According to Luo Qingqing's explanation, SCP-999 is a group of slime-like orange-yellow slime. It has a naughty personality and is close to humans. It has love for all animals, especially humans, and can make all people who come into contact with it feel happy, just like moving. The pistachios, all Foundation people are eligible to contact. Therefore, all personnel must not abuse it or they will be punished. Hiss. Wang Li is a little envious. To be honest, who doesn't want this kind of mascot? However, not everyone who is close to humans in the containment will end well. For example, SCP-590, a teenager around the age of 16, his ability is longevity and the ability to transfer other people's injuries and diseases to himself, at the cost of suffering all the pain and suffering. Therefore, it was used as a tool by the Bald Eagle country, and several cases of intellectual disability were induced to cure. Due to this behavior, SCP-590 is always at the mental level of a 3-year-old child and becomes very easy to handle. Tisk, having special abilities is not all a good thing, this is the root of human inferiority. Wang Li's tone is extremely cold. The ones that are not threatening and of great value can be bred as animals, even if they are all human in appearance. Due to the location and lighting effects, half of his face was hidden in the shadows, and his expression was not clear. This caused Luo Qingqing to swallow subconsciously, and whispered, "It was made by the Bald Eagle country. Our country is still more humane." Wang Li smiled and said nothing. Although she doesn't know what the other party is thinking, the girl also knows that this is not a silent time, so she broke the silence and described what she was shocked when she heard it for the first time. SCP-580. Alias Qin Emperor 5 Heaven Seat. Qinhuang's 5 Heavenly Seat? Is it possible that it is related to Qin Shi Huang? Wang Li guessed. Luo Qingqing chuckled, most people certainly can't guess its body. I was surprised for a long time when I checked it out. Seeing Wang Li showing a look of exploration, she didn't dare to sell Guanzi, she quickly explained. The first time the Foundation discovered it and entered data, it was in the solar system. Its body was an airship made of silk and wood. More importantly, after research, it was discovered that it was built in the first emperor's dynasty. Is it really Qin Shi Huang? Wang Li is a little ignorant. The entire airship is decorated with gold, silver, dragons, and phoenixes. There are 8 cannon slots on each side of the airship. After the Foundation tried to contact it, it was learned that the project had accepted the order of the first emperor and was on a mission to travel to the Sunday. Luo Qingqing emotionally and vividly said, as for whether this is a military expedition or an envoy's visit, it is still unclear. What can I say? It turns out that this world has entered the interstellar age so early. No wonder the Great Wall defended against aliens in a certain game, and the ancients did not deceive me. The world is so big, there are no wonders. Good guy, could it be that the development of the world has gone backwards for thousands of years? There is nothing to say about this, and of course Wang Li also feels very interesting. Listening to her talk about these containment objects with special abilities is almost the same as listening to stories. Only. You told me so much to an outsider, is it really okay? Luo Qingqing's face froze, ahaha, it's not a special secret, it's not a big problem. Now that you understand, let me say. This boss has a black belly. It was very upset to be bailed out, but I could only hold back when I was upset, and even asked if I wanted to bailed out again. Fortunately, Luo Qingqing is optimistic that she can automatically clear up unhappy things, and she can find SCP-999 to vent when she returns to the Foundation. But even so, she feels that she has suffered a lot, and hopes to try if she can take advantage of the store manager. Maybe it would be enough for others to pull out the vellus hair for a month. So, she cautiously said, by the way, boss, I really liked the wood carving I gave last time. We are all so familiar with each other. Can we give another one? No. Wang Li refused the request without even thinking about it. The last time she was sent to her was a missionary, and by the way, the defective products were disposed of. A face suddenly collapsed, and Luo Qingqing felt a little distressed. This is the so-called confession, do you always have to pay it back? The price of taking things for nothing has finally come to return. Perhaps seeing the girl in a bad mood, Wang Li thought for a while. Although it's good to be a prostitute, it's not so good. What if I can't find a storyteller after being scared away? Therefore, he changed his conversation and comforted, send it is definitely not good. If you really like it, you can change it with something. Change something. Luo Qingqing was resurrected on the spot, look. Efforts will always be rewarded. From now on, I will be the owner's licking dog. She looked excited and asked, what is it? I think about it. Wang Li glanced across the bookshelf area and pool, and said, well, such as weird and rare ancient books, or strange things, I am a person who likes to collect rare and ancient monsters, but if you think it is relatively rare and interesting, I think it can be used for identification. After speaking, he added, of course, it's okay to exchange containment items. The smile on Luo Qingqing's face gradually disappeared. P.S. Ask for flowers. Ask for evaluation votes. Begging. Asterisk thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 49. Gangster, don't be kidding. Exchange with containment items, even if she wants to change, where's the qualifications and so many containment items? But ancient books. Luo Qingqing shuddered when he thought of the things on the bookshelf that would pop out of tentacles and eyeballs, wouldn't it? It seems that no matter which condition is difficult to achieve. In frustration, she suddenly woke up to the shopkeeper's meaningful sight. It's not right. She is a small member of the Foundation, how can it be worth the trouble of the coffee shop boss? The other party may just want to use him to reach a cooperative relationship with the Foundation executives behind him, or to pass on news. This kind of thing is left to the high-level decision-making troubles, why she racked her brain to think so much. With the thoughtfulness, the girl felt that she could do it again. Before she responded, she saw Wang Li walking around her for a moment, then pointed to her chest and said, for the first time, I will give you a discount. Let's change it with that pendant, hey. Luo Qingqing was taken aback, subconsciously covering the pocket watch pendant hanging on his chest, and the whole person fell into a state of bewilderment. No, I took SCP-427 out for the first time, so you must take it away. Not to say whether she would like it or not, she is not qualified to deal with the key thing, and she will pay it back when she goes back. The girl almost cried when she thought of the problem of the first mission being gone, and the possibility of being executed. Why, no? Very precious. Wang Li frowned slightly. No, not precious. Seeing that the target's face changed, an invisible aura hits her face, Luo Qingqing immediately changed her attitude, crying and said with a sad face, then, I will trouble you. Extremely unwilling to let go of the pocket watch, she watched the boss take it away eagerly. After taking the pocket watch, Wang Li opened it and saw it was a gem with a gleaming purple light, which was very valuable at first glance. The radiant brilliance came into view, and the body became warm. In an instant, he fell in love with it. But then I thought, the handmade statue I made didn't seem to be worthy of its value. Seeing the other party's pitiful appearance, he was a little unbearable, but he was reluctant to go back. After hesitating for a while, another idea came up. After covering his pocket watch, under Luo Qingqing's gaze, he went to the bookshelf area, took out a book at random in the ancient history area, and then took out 3 statues in the handmade window area. Back at the bar, Wang Li put the 3 statues in front and said to the dazed girl, ahem, I thought about it, since it's a discount, plus you love it so much, except that these 3 are originally exchanged, I will lend you this book for 3 extra days. Don't look at it as just a book. At any rate, I spent a lot of energy and cost to collect it. Wang Li added. In the end, Luo Qingqing didn't even know how she got out. With 3 handmade statues in her arms and an old book named Lalei text in her arms, she embarked on the way back to the Foundation. 1 hour later. Frowning and staring at the 3 statues in front of him and the weird classics of Lalei text, Zhang Jianyu didn't know what he was thinking. Luo Qingqing fidgeted and waited for the judgment of her immediate superiors, but after half a day, she only waited for a word. You did a great job, Let's go ahead, I will explain to the above about SCP-427. Oh. The girl thought she would be punished, but she didn't know if there was anything wrong, so the boss still spoke softly and comforted her. She couldn't believe it when she left the room. In fact, it is easy to understand that there is not only one piece of SCP-427, as long as you want, you can use SCP-500 and SCP-914 to create it at any time. Although SCP-500 has only 47 pieces, it cannot be synthesized by any method, and one piece is less than one piece. But at least some inventory remains. It is not a disadvantage to win over the owner of the mysterious cafe, after all, the other party also paid. And relying on Luo Qingqing to build a channel for communication, maybe we can cooperate more intimately in the future. Thinking in this way, Zhang Jianwu had no negative thoughts about subordinate's self-assertion behavior, and it was obviously not her turn to make a request at that time. The reason for frowning is because of the 3 handmade statues in front of me, the Lalei text that was returned within a 3-day period. The 3 statues are different. The first is a toad-like creature, holding a flute like a wind instrument. The second figure is a huge clump with black whip-like tentacles growing on the clump, with a huge mouth open around the clump, and the outline of the entire body looks like a tree. The third figure is a monster resembling a terrestrial octopus with bat-shaped wings on the back. There is no doubt that he doesn't know anyone. These strangely shaped and weird creatures do not follow human aesthetics at all, and are full of strange madness and beauty. Looking past the 3 statues for a while, Zhang Jianwu finally stared at the ancient book. In terms of preciousness, this book is definitely the most important. The Foundation also has similar ancient books, but most of them are scraps, the records are unknown, and there may even be errors. Moreover, since the cafe owner solemnly stated that the deadline is 3 days, it shows that in his opinion, books are also more valuable. In addition, there is one more thing that caught his attention. The name of this book, Lalaye. It was exactly the same as the anomaly reported by Xia Ruobing, the captain of the 7th Special Operations Squad who came back last night. After telling what happened in the seaside town, she also reported what happened in her dream after falling asleep, because she felt it was very important. Fulhu and Lalei. The people behind the series of events and the disappearance of the village must have conspired plans that are inseparable from these 2 words. Perhaps the answer to the purpose of those people's actions can be glimpsed in this book. With this idea in mind, he opened the video discussion and reported a series of experiences to higher authorities. After receiving affirmative approval, Zhang Jianwu took the Lalei text to the Research Institute. He needed Professor Mo to translate the content of the book. Not everyone can parse out the mystery and cosmic truth hidden in the various stories above when they get the secret code. Deeper secrets can only be found out by people with strong inspiration and knowledge of occultism. P.S. Ask for flowers. Ask for evaluation votes. Begging. *. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Chapter 50. Tisk, it feels good to be upright but no one noticed. Walking under the scorching sun, Jay, one of the important cotters of Snake Hand, showed his head that gradually turned into a fish head, and looked at the crowds coming and going on the street with emotion. I really don't know why the people in the Foundation are so stupid. They have sealed up all the containment and can't easily use them. How stupid it is to impose such a rule. With a sneer, Jay covered his hat and swaggered towards the target residence. According to the information observed by the spell, the opponent should live in a suburban location. After bumping into several pedestrians brutally, he smiled foolishly under the dazed expression of the other person looking around inexplicably. I really want to kill people on the street at will, and then observe everyone's reactions. Licking his lips, he forcibly suppressed the bloodthirsty thoughts. You can't make extravagance, at least you have to wait for the golden crown to get your hands. The more spells are used, the closer Jay is to the abyss. The closer he got to the abyss, the more he couldn't control himself, and wanted to obey the madness and do something to please the gods he believed in. But the time has not yet arrived, and the time has not yet come for the stars to return. Endure. Keep patience. Accumulate irritability and release it until the day the god descends, and that feeling must be extremely wonderful. With anticipation, the number of pedestrians around Jay gradually decreases, and the shops along the street are gradually sparse. He knew that this was a sign that the destination was about to arrive. The target residence is far away from the urban area, and there is a lack of people around, and because of the village in the city, the removal of a few people is inexplicably deserted. Soon after the march, the cafe signed Katas came into view. Standing on the opposite side, Jay just wanted to approach, suddenly felt something was wrong, a touch of uneasiness haunted his mind, and a hint of inexplicable fear. What's wrong with me? He stopped abruptly. The sudden warning made him hesitate for a moment, but the warning came and went quickly. It disappeared without waiting for careful thought. Illusion? It shouldn't be. Jay stood on the opposite side with an uncertain expression. Since contacting the abyss of the truth of the universe, his inspiration has also been improved a bit, and he can vaguely know part of the safety. If one believes in the Great Door Key, Transcender, and all things one, maybe we can predict the future of this kind of thing. It is a pity that he believes in the Lord of Lely. But this hesitation was quickly shattered by what he saw. In the shop, the golden crown placed in the pool occupied all his sight. What? What a beautiful treasure that is! Can't describe it in words. Because of the crown in his eyes, Jay couldn't restrain his impulse anymore and quickly set off for the coffee shop. The strange thing is left behind, there is SCP-268, and the danger should be very low. No one else can see it, don't realize it exists, how to deal with it. What's more, his brain also recorded fighting and protection spells about certain spells. When the moment of danger is really reached, he can use the knowledge he has obtained from the gods. When approaching the door, Jay pushed in without any hesitation. Ting bell. Suddenly the wind chime rang at the door, and Lilith, who was sitting at the bar, stood up abruptly and said to the customers who appeared in the store as usual, "Hello, what do you need?" "Hey, this guest is so strange." The charismatic maid muttered to herself, with a flat head and protruding eyes, she was completely unlike a normal human being. Is it also a containment item in the owner's shop? Not to mention what the cute maid was thinking, Jay was taken aback, raised the volume and said, "Can you see me?" After speaking, he saw the face of the girl in front of him, his eyes suddenly widened. Isn't this SCP-166 in the target of the L mission? How could it appear here? Of course. The maid blinked her eyes and whispered in a low voice, "Could you please keep your voice down?" The master fell asleep while reading on the sofa. Who is the owner? My hat won't fall off, right? Two more questions flashed through his mind in a row, and Jay quickly touched his head in a daze, and found that the hat was still there. No, how did you see me wearing a hat? You are not right. Very wrong. Not only this maid girl who can see him, but also this shop. When I was outside, I didn't feel that. After I really stepped in, I felt like countless malicious sights projected from my surroundings. This horror reached the bottom of his heart, and he was like an innocent ant who stepped into a forbidden place, accepting the attention of countless great existences. Regardless of thinking about how SCP-166 was here, the pressure forced Jay to breathe out, and as he broke in, the aura he carried seemed to alarm a certain taboo, and there were sudden changes in several places in the store. On the ceiling, a huge ball of light appeared crowded, and the shed parts of the ball and the raw material flowing out gloomily gathered together. Formed an ominous and terrifying thing from outer space. Its face is formed by the convergence of rainbow spheres, and this mass of silt from the beginning is foaming at the source of eternal chaos, as if it transcends the most distant depth of time and space. At the same moment, a breath of joy and surrender from J's soul came from the edge of the glass pool. There are huge claws on the fore and hind limbs, and the huge thing with long and narrow wings on the back appears from the shadow on the wall. Compared to the horror that the ceiling seemed to face the infinite universe, the breath from the pool made him even more excited. Fulhu. There is no doubt that it is a texture that is infinitely close to the gods he believes in, and it can't be wrong. However, the worship in the face of devout believers did not move the evil god, but increased his anger. The great unnamed person roared, and the scream that went straight into the soul made Jay unable to maintain his shape, and instantly collapsed into a pile of flesh and blood, squirming and paralyzed on the floor. Then countless tentacles rose from the floor, and dozens of mouths with sharp teeth shredded it bit by bit and swallowed it. Before reacting, the joy in my heart has not dissipated, and Jay has disappeared in this world forever. Lilith stared blankly at this scene with her mouth slightly open, and did not react for a long time. The guest, just gone? P.S. Ask for flowers. Ask for evaluation votes. Begging. Asterisk thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.